allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, are there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Of the agenda.
Okay, the motion been made by Kaufman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Gall. Roll call. Kaufman.
Aye.
Gall.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Dearberg, aye. Minutes. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? If there are none, may I have approval?
So moved.
Okay, the motion been made by Smith. Is there a second on motion?
Second.
Second by Bell. Roll call. Smith.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Gall.
Aye.
Kaufman.
Aye.
And Dearberg, aye. Any other business? Stanwood Drainage District, will be going into that later when we take them bids. Secondary road proposed facility plan. Rob will probably have something on that. Discussion on our outreach meetings by the supervisors. Dawn and I got it set up for the third Monday. Well, it'd be the third Tuesday. They don't have a meeting on Monday. It's going to be the Tuesday, the 17th. We're going over to West Branch.
I had one last night with the council. It was really good. They had a short meeting. I brought up some points that we're doing, some things, and well received. And they're quiet, but a good bunch of people. And so I enjoyed doing that.
Courthouse phone system. Carrie put that in the budget. I think she put in 30,000. I think it was in there. Plumbing issues. We're just waiting for Lynch to start on that job. Courthouse office space, facilities planning.
Are we going to wait on that until we get information back from Paul on?
Yeah.
He is working on that, is he not?
Mm-hmm. Local option sales and service tax and organizational study. After we get done with all the budget and everything, we'll have to set the time for that and what we're going to do with the money. Budgeting reviews and decisions. I think we want to wait till Carrie comes in after a while on that. Action on the comp board recommendation for the salaries of elected officials. You want to take that up now, or you want to wait till later on when Carrie comes in?
I'd like to wait.
Okay. Action on request by recorder for an additional deputy. You want to wait on that also then until we go start on the budget? Okay, discussion action regarding a financial reporting policy. Does everybody have a copy of that?
And Carrie put this on my desk for you. I'm trying to remember what she said changed in here.
Need to revise standards for the general accounting principles. Russell Terpstra, the person from auditing firm, sent this out. You know what the changes were?
I think it could be done 3 times instead of 1, but I can see what that was.
Carrie here.
Yeah, I see. On the top of the second page, county will report the following major categories of capital assets that have an estimated life of more than 1 year. It used to say 3. Other side, everything's the same. She recommends approval.
Which page is that?
On the second page at the
Up
top,
here at the top.
above where it says
Okay.
machinery and
It used to
equipment.
say 3 year instead of 1.
Move to approve.
Okay, motion been made by Bell. Is there a second motion?
I'll second.
Second by Smith. Any discussion? Roll call. Bell.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Gall.
Aye.
Kaufman.
Aye.
Dearberg, aye. Okay, there was a handwritten warrant that went around for the EMA for Speed Connect for $63.45. That is due the 10th of February, so it'd be before the bills are approved. Signed by Tim. Somebody want to move for to pay the bill?
So moved.
Okay, motion been made by Gal. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Kaufman. Any discussion? Roll call. Gal.
Aye.
Kaufman.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
David, aye. John signed it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, committee reports. Any committee reports? Don?
No.
Brad?
Farm Bureau last night, I'll let you report on that, but I've got a meeting tonight, special meeting with, they called me about the, Fair Board. We talk about, the promoting, race promoter, I think, a lot of that, so I'll go to that, and then I got one next Wednesday with them too.
John?
Nothing except Farm Bureau last night.
Jeff? I have nothing. Conference board tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. The safety meeting with the judge was postponed till next Wednesday, so I won't be able to go to that till next Wednesday.
Rob's coming in on this later, but if you're around, just working with him. And I have a question when you have a minute.
Step wage increase for John Winslow will complete 18 months of employment in the maintenance worker 2 position as a motor grader operator in District 5 with my department, effective February 6, 2015. As per union contract, he is eligible for a wage increase to $19.20, which is 95% of the maintenance worker 2 position 2021. I recommend approval for the pay rate changes per union contract. So I'll send it around, everybody can read it. You have a question, Dave?
Yes, this grave care, veterans grave care, the auditor was wondering, when are these to be paid? Are we just to pay out that dollar amount to these cemeteries, and then should that be done?
Probably July, the beginning of the fiscal year, right?
When they requested, I would say, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and Bev, maybe we should, it should have been on the application, but when we get ready to do that, we should probably send out a little note that, essentially says that we would like, when it's completed, to let us know, so that we can go out and look at it and make sure it's okay, and then give a report back to the board.
So pay out the second figure on July 1st, right?
First figure.
The first figure, the second figure is what they asked, oh, hold it, I'm sorry.
The second one's what?
Yeah, the second figure is what we gave, the
Yeah.
first figure is what they asked for, yeah.
So the 1,300, okay.
Yeah.
You gotta wait till the request is in before you pay it out.
So they've already requested.
They've already requested, so I think it's set to them, and then when they have it done, we'll just have a little checklist.
We put a note with
Make
it.
sure it's
And
on.
if we don't hear from them by the time the budget comes around, then we'll have to, I'll give the report, and then we'll have to follow through. They were all specific enough, so I think the need is obviously there. It's just a matter of follow through.
So we'll put a note with the check that when the project's finished, the board of supervisors wants to look at it. Is that what you're saying?
Or do you want the Pioneer Cemetery? Yeah, so you put the Pioneer Cemetery Commission, somebody from there, and then we give a report to the board if that's what you guys want.
Yep.
Okay, that's my question, the auditor's question, actually. She just wondered when that was supposed to be paid out.
Okay, is there anything else before the department head meeting?
Just this weekend on Iowa Press is going to be they're going to deal with the fuel tax. So it's going to be basically 2 legislators versus Iowans for tax relief. So it ought to be interesting.
What time is that?
Should be on Friday at night at 6:30 or 7:30.
I think
can't
it's
remember.
7:30.
On Channel 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Sunday it's either 11:30 or noon. I can't remember.
Seems like it's 11:30, because I always just record it, but I think it's a lot more.
Yeah. Anyway, they might be interested in watching that.
So, what's your take on that? You're keeping up on that with anybody?
Well, the votes are there in the House. It's just a matter of making sure people don't add amendments
Anything
that
to
make it
it.
politically unviable.
And they're talking 10 cents right away, aren't they?
Yeah.
Instead of
Well, and I
50
think there's a
3
particular
cents.
group that want to do something different, and if they stray from just the flat 10%, there's gonna be squabbling.
Yep. So they gotta work
I
out.
mean, that was obvious when I was in Des Moines on Wednesday.
There was a guy, I just read about that in the news up north, some county up there, or he's a senator, I think. And he's got a different idea like yours. I can't remember his
He's
name.
a big. Oh, he's in the House.
In the House?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who.
Well, it'll be a direct conflict on the television. Because Miles actually was the one trying to kill it.
Is Smith in that group?
Well, it's a lobbying group on Muscatine. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, probably.
So is Grace in that one?
Hmm?
Is Grace in that one?
I think he's good. Yes.
Okay.
Jeff Wink used to be on that, didn't he?
I think yes.
Well, I gotta make a comment on that, the tax. Jeff may not realize this, but Gronsdale says if he can't get 50% of the Republicans in the Senate to vote for it, he's not gonna bring it up in the Senate.
That's what he
So
said.
he needs 50% of the Republican senators to get on the board.
Yep. That's why it's not being brought up right now. That's the holdup.
Senate won't take any action until the House does, probably, right?
Right, and the House isn't gonna take action until they know it's gonna be passed, so everything's waiting on the, yeah, I mean, it's.
Catch-22.
Yeah, but it's how you have to do these kind of things because it's such a politically sensitive topic, and you gotta get these folks that are, might put errant amendments on.
Well, and this is what they don't realize, is a lot of these counties are bonding, which means that anybody even on a fixed income that doesn't drive is going to be paying for it.
Exactly.
And so if you're interested in tax relief, seriously interested in it, then you need to overcome that and make it a user tax rather than passing it on to the people who don't even drive.
Yep, that's right. And
I
that'll
agree
be
100%.
I'm guessing that point will be made on Iowa Press.
Yeah, and there's just a small group that are being the sticklers on it.
Well, hopefully it'll pass so that we can get some money to fix the bridges and the roads.
I bet the House has 65 votes.
In the House?
Oh yeah, the House is there. They've been there for the last 3 years.
It sounds like the governor will sign it if it goes up to him.
Yep.
Like we said, it's just a small.
Yep.
And you think they'll take up something on the overload and overwidth?
Not this year, I don't think. It sounds like if the 10% passes this year, it sounds like next year that they would work on some of that.
10 cents, not 10%.
10 cents.
10%.
Yeah, 10% could be a lot if it's $4 a gallon gas. Yeah. No. 10 cents.
You know, even if we get to 10 cents, isn't it still gonna be cheaper than Illinois, wasn't it talked about last night?
Probably close. It'll be close. It'll just be maybe a penny difference or 2 pennies difference. But they also said that Illinois is in the hole deep enough that they're going to have to raise theirs again here pretty quick anyway. So it really won't make, if it makes an impact, it'll only be for a short time. Which was my argument with Smith, was you'd rather tax grandma on a fixed income that doesn't drive. Gotta do what I gotta do. I'm like, yeah. Right over the edge of the retention.
They approved your handwritten warrants. They approved your handwritten warrants.
What? I know. Oh, more big grades.
Oh, no, Wayne's already got one.
Oh, Wayne's already got one?
He went to the class.
Okay.
Not behind the book, you're responsible for everything in it.
What meeting did you say you were
I think I got my.
The Tipton Council. Yeah.
Tim, since I couldn't get to this, do you want me to do it online?
What's that?
Since I couldn't get the class, do you want me to do it online?
I'm gonna take this and go to the hall.
Okay.
I didn't see after the game last night, but Seattle State took it on the nose, didn't they?
They
I
did?
didn't pay attention.
I think the papers went, what, 13 points or something like that for Russell?
Who they play?
Kansas. But
Bartlett.
Bonnie said she stayed up and watched the game, and she said that it was really worse than that, but she said Kansas couldn't miss, and Iowa State couldn't hit.
Our electricity went off last night for a little while. I suppose it's the weight of the snow,
Probably.
I'm guessing.
Although yesterday the sun was shining bright enough, it looked like some of it was starting to come off the lines a little bit.
You can take it online. Probably wouldn't hurt, but that's pretty well what you're gonna see online too.
Okay.
That wasn't a very definitive answer, was
No,
it?
it wasn't.
If
He gave
we
me a
have
whole lot of,
disaster-
he gave me a whole lot of leeway that way,
Yeah,
didn't
there
he?
was a lot of
I did.
qualifiers in that statement.
So when we start having flooding and they start calling you, that's how we're gonna run the EOC.
Okay.
You're the plans officer, you're the ops officer, you're the liaison.
We stopped that.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, you have.
What's Deerberg?
Huh?
What's Deerberg?
Oh, he's gonna be
Whatever
out
he
in the field
wants
this
to
one
be.
week.
Yeah,
John's the.
John's in charge, right? It's good with me.
I'll get the fishing pole, try to catch some fish.
There's probably plenty of floaters when that happens.
Carrie over there.
Is she what?
Is Carrie over there? I should take this sheriff with her. Take 5 till 9, so.
That's just how you operate the EOC and how they talk back.
I'm guessing he has a few more phone calls than you have.
Just a few more. But when they showed a picture of him, I swear one side of his face was more swollen than the other, like he had sinus issues or something.
He's paying. Instead of my wife and she was
I know, I'm really not
around. I mean, it's,
Thing was
there's no more Sunday meetings, Saturdays.
Okay, let's call this
afternoons.
department head meeting to order. Tim, you wanna start it off?
Two people got them.
Tim, you wanna start it off?
Sure. We did some training over the last month and a half, so everybody should be up to snuff on to G775, the EOC operations, because it's not if we're going to have an issue this spring, it's when the flooding will start, especially with all the heavy snows and stuff. So we probably have to open up an EOC this year. G191, we just finished the interface from the incident command to the EOC, so you'll understand how. I think we had a few people in here that actually attended that class. And then Friday and Saturday, we did the 700, which is NIMS, and the 100, which is Introduction to Incident Command. And actually, we had 17 people show up. We had quite a few, and we took the time Saturday to let that class hear an emergency call for the weather right before it came in, so they got firsthand what was about ready to hit them. And so they got something there. In the middle of grant writing right now to get EMPG. The federal government's asking us to go ahead and do that, get that done, and it'll probably change when they finally do decide to bring the budget in. Cedar County is going to be one of the first 10% of the PSAPs in the state of Iowa to go to text to 911. We'll be doing that between March and April timeframe. We're going to be the only one outside of Jackson County that does it on the eastern side here in this area. And the two of us are doing it because they're using the same type of equipment, and we're ready for that. And then the 911, we've been doing all the development of the policies and procedures. I think we have 158 of them done now, and you might start hearing a few different things if you listen to the scanner. I think we heard them this weekend. So it's being a little bit of change, but we're getting a lot done.
I got a question for you, Tim.
Mhm.
Is there, we had some issues with the wind system this last storm. I think I got 6 phone calls between
Nope,
city and
I understand
county.
that. The actual alerts for the weather itself come out of NOAA. And then if you live in Durant, the first one out with no phone, they made a mistake when they tried to put it out, and they called me and asked me if we put it out, and we put it out for them about snow emergency, and then we put out a couple for snow emergencies too.
Because I had some people that were like, we get it already. You
Well,
know, and I
apparently
said,
they
well,
don't get it already, because we still had a lot of people out there.
better to get too much than not any, so.
Yeah. I'd rather over than under.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Melissa?
We've been busy past month with vital records. We did 157 during the month of January. 53 of them were done on one day. Now that people are able to get death certificates from any county, that's really been an increase in our workload. The IVE system, the electronic version of vital records, the group is working towards making birth records electronic, so anyone born in the state of Iowa will be able to get their birth certificate from any county in the state. Hoping that sometime this year that'll go into effect, but we don't have a date set in stone yet for that conversion. The Recorders Association and the Bureau Chief of Health and Statistics has formed a liaison group. So each district has a member that's working on this liaison group to help make improvements with this electronic system. Our representative from our district's from Scott County. But it should be a good thing since the new bureau chief was formerly a recorder. So we're trying to work out the kinks with the death system before we move forward with birth. And we will be hosting a district meeting here on February 10th. So we're going to go over some of our vital record issues, and our ESS committee has some things coming up with flat fees or an additional fee increase for their e-commerce recording fee that we're looking to help fund some of these increased requirements with redaction. So 10 a.m. I'll be hosting it. I don't have the agenda. I asked somebody else to work on lining up whether DNR will come or vital records or who. But and busy time with passports as well. People thinking ahead for spring travel. So right now processing time is 4 to 5 weeks.
Thank you. Jane?
Public health wise, vaccine or Wednesday vaccination clinics have seen a real increase in attendance. I think we set a record ever last week. A lot of kids are being brought in because they're haven't been kept up to date on their vaccines, and some we've even had in because they have never been vaccinated before. A lot of this is probably in relationship to the measles and how, you know, we're slowly being surrounded by states that have measles outbreaks. Next thing is Natroba, which is the most effective lice treatment out right now. That costs $250 per box or per treatment. We were able to obtain 17 boxes at no cost to us from our contract with AmeriCares. So that was like a $4,250 benefit to the county, and we received them, and within less than 2 months, they're all out. So we're gonna be asking, I think Bonnie's already asked for some more. Our WIC clinic that's held here once a month, we're increasing the outside services in attendance. We've had ISU Extension, Pediatric Integrated Health, which is a program through the university to coordinate cares on disabled or ill children. And we've also had violence, or going to have violence prevention group there. School audits are completed, but we don't have the results yet. And the first meeting of the ISTEP, which is the Iowa Students for Tobacco Education and Prevention, which takes the place of JEL state program, was held, and they had 11 students attending. Home care, we're almost real close to our first 60 days up on Nightingale Note, still going really well with the staff. We've had an uptick in admissions during the past couple of weeks. And we had received last Wednesday our follow-up report from Department of Inspections and Appeals. We're in compliance with all of our standards except for 3, 2 of them which we are still working on, and then there was one new one. And then I just asked Carrie if she wanted that escape back, because I took it over to be evaluated for that little gas gauge thing, and it's a fuel pump, and yep, that's what they told me, for about, let's see, a little over $500. But I have it in my budget to repair it, so it's okay.
Get it fixed. Okay.
I was nice, I offered to
I
pay
know,
for it.
she did. She offered to pay for it out of
For
some
$99.
funds. Yeah.
I didn't know we had a county lemon law that we couldn't departments.
County lemon.
But we have money to pay for it, so we'll get that repaired.
Okay, good. Rob?
Staff is still working to open up the roads from our Mother Nature's latest. I'd say by lunch today, if not sooner, everybody will have at least a lane. Once they have that, obviously we go back and start cleaning or widen them out more. Of course, there's projected another 1 to 3 inches coming tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's a chance today. We'll keep working on them. Pavement's overall in pretty good shape. There's spots here or there, but it's extreme cold. Obviously, it makes it that much more difficult to get off. But overall, like I said, we ran all day Sunday, all day Monday, and we'll stick with it again today. I'd say over 80% got covered, if not closer to 90 yesterday, but obviously we have to go out and finish it with 10 inches of snow in the wind. Obviously it takes more than our goal is 24 hours to get a lane to everybody. Get this much snow. Adding a V-plow obviously slows those machines down. So we've been taking calls, most of them have been really reasonable, just kind of asking when and using the GPS to try to aid that, and it's been working really well overall. Have a pre-construction conference here at 10 o'clock for our Dixon Avenue FEMA project and culvert replacement. Iowa Bridge and Culvert, if you remember, was awarded that. They're talking about starting in a couple weeks. I'm assuming the snow is going to change that, but I'm not sure. I'll let you know when I find out more about that. Rochester update, the East project, which is our ER project, is complete with the exception of a little bit of dirt work, finished work, and seeding. All the riprap is in place around those piers and along the bank to stabilize where they removed. Then the core project, would be the west side, is actually progressing really well too. They're all the way out to their pier number 4 and towards the bank, and then they have to come back and shape it to the right cross section that the core wants. So both of those have actually been progressing really well.
Do you go down and inspect them, that riprap?
We do ours.
I mean,
Our ER project. Yeah, I've been out there.
Do you go down?
I have been out there. I was on the ice and everything. So, but yeah, I'm very happy that that's progressing, because like Tim alluded to, if this keeps up and we do get a lot of flooding, it'll be critical if that's actually in place. Which we're to the point now, it's a lot better situation than we've had in a long time. So, continue to deal with Mother Nature and see how the effects on the budget are again.
Okay.
But how she's better to us than she was to Boston. Their 2 inches was 13 last night.
That's what I heard.
You say the west side's just about done? The west side's just about done, the course? Done with
Oh, the
those?
core, yeah. They're almost, the majority of the rock is placed, and they put it out wider so they can drive over it. Now they have to come back and actually shape it to the right cross section, because it's supposed to come up and then have slight peak to it, which I found it tricky, but that's what they want. So they put the extra rock on purpose to shape it, and then they're gonna work, the excavator's gonna work his way back to the beginning. And he has to go put some more rock to the west. There's some some sheet pile issues that were there, so any later could have been pretty detrimental to that structure, but they were able to get that riprap in. So, obviously the weather does affect that too, but they have been able to work through a lot of it.
Good, thank you. Cindy?
We are finishing up our field checks and field work. February 1st has come and gone, so Forest Reserve, geothermal, a few other property tax application exemptions were due. Since the first fell on a Sunday, we can take them postmarked through the second, so we'll kind of see what comes in. There wasn't a whole lot. Aside from that, Angela and I both completed a week of continuing education in Des Moines. Spent some quality time with Tim over the last month with my 100 and 700 training. Aside from that, business property tax credit applications for 2014 assessments are due March 15th this year. We've been continually sending out new pre-populated applications when properties change ownership or things of that nature. The participation last year was 70%. We're up to 92%, so that's some measurable tax savings for commercial industrial property tax or property owners in Cedar County. So we're happy about that increase. Aside from that, just trying to finish up everything. Have some fun budget stuff coming up. I'm sure everyone just can't wait for tomorrow evening. Aside from that.
Thank you. Phil?
Water samples. Got those today, tomorrow, next day. And working on floodplain thing.
That's it? Okay. Jeff?
February 24th is our go-live date. Cedar County will be, all the court system will be totally digital. So we've had a lot of training, more training coming up. So hopefully it'll be a smooth transition. That's about it.
Julie?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Believe it or not. I sat down there and thought, what do I have? But we're doing good.
Where are you going to move everything when they start tearing up your floor?
Well, we have that empty office right now, so we'll just have to take some of our stuff over there and use the desks that are already in there. So, and then hopefully it's a short project. But we are getting close to getting a person hired. We've gotten a lot of our reference checks and background checks back, so now we have to make that decision. So I guess it's good timing in a way that we have that vacant right now, so we can move our stuff over there. So,
good.
Yeah.
Carrie?
I'm working on budgets.
You're working on some more today yet, too.
I'm excited. Not as excited as Sunday, but I'm excited.
Gary?
January was deadline to license big trucks, so it's kind of busy last week. Should quiet down this week, I would say. Doing our thing.
You get busy towards the end of the month, taxes, huh?
It's March.
Property tax, well, they have to pay it in March, yeah. Some pay it early, don't they?
Some. You can pay early if you'd like.
Warren?
And of course, weekend snow and cars in the ditch and accidents. I do want to just point out, I thought Rob's bunch did a good job keeping the main roads open. There's no way you can keep up all the gravels, but I thought the state and the county did a good job keeping the highways open. Working on Don asked for a projected expense on heating and air conditioning. The company is supposed to be getting something together for us on there. Probably just going to start changing out heat chambers, one a year. Starting next budget year. Got a couple more bids on the solar. I haven't had a chance to look at them yet, or I was going to email them up here so they'd be here for the meeting, but I didn't get it done. But there has been some response from Iowa Wind and Solar, I think, and they're out of Fairfield. Have another dispatcher position open. Right now, you know, this budget, we were approved to hire a new one. And right now we have that one hired. She's ready to go online probably next week. And another one going through the hiring process, the testing, the physical, the psych evaluation. And now another one gave me their resignation today. So basically I'm 2.5 down. Digital, my guys they've started filing everything digital now. That was the $70-some thousand we had to spend on computers in the cars, and a few glitches here and there, but it's working. They're starting to like it. So, and had a car catch on fire, going to a call, and some of the installers wiring, the installer we used to use, filled the cab with smoke, burned up the center console, and knocked the light bar out. So, but we've got it fixed and put back together, but I haven't got the bill for it yet either.
Are you gonna stand that?
I don't use that vendor anymore. I don't.
They still should stand it.
When I get the bill, I'm gonna take it back to him.
Might send it to Jeff and have him send a letter.
Okay. You didn't even hear that bus coming, did you? Wait till I have you.
Sunrow is the name of the game.
Dob?
Oh, geez, leave me for last. One thing I'd like to bring you to, Sarah and the Conservation Board, I give Sarah most of the credit. She just got the Sullivan-Runkle Education Award for the state. She competed against all county conservation board naturalists. She was chosen. Basically what the Sullivan-Runkle Education Award is, that she gets into it's a whole school award, and it was given to her because all the work she does with North Cedar Elementary School. She's doing a prairie project with them up there. She's established a prairie for the kids to go out and plant and experience, and then basically her snowshoeing program that she's done. She touches every class from preschool to 4th grade, so I thought that was a pretty good honor for her. She was recognized in Waterloo last week for that. Just to give you a little heads up, in 2014 she did 319 programs. She got that, she did 7,085 students. She's in every school now in the county, but North Cedar Elementary probably is our biggest school, where she gets in from preschool all the way up to, she does that whole school. Durant and West Branch are starting to pick up now. We're starting to get more and more into them. Tipton's really getting there. So I just noticed yesterday, I've been kind of off sick. She had 40-some emails yesterday with just all the teachers saying, hey, it snowed, where's the snowshoe? So she's been buying more and more snowshoes. She's on the outlet, and so she's putting them good use. So that was something for her. So we have a hunter safety class coming up March 24th, 26th, and 28th. It's filling up pretty quick again, so we always look at that. We might have to have another class back to back there. It depends on how we limit it to 30 students. We usually fill it pretty quick. So other than that, we got our birdhouse program starting, where we build birdhouses and we sell them off as they order them. So we got quite a few orders in again, and just doing general maintenance on everything, getting ready for the flooding of 2015. So.
Yeah. I have an email here from Patty if you want to hear me to read it.
Okay.
Patty was unable to attend. She had to reschedule due to her meeting later here with the board. She had another appointment she had to take. She says she will be attending a meeting put on by St. Andrews on February 25th. And this meeting will have a veteran there discussing his transitioning from military to civilian as a 3-limb amputee, and how and which services need adjustment. That's Patty.
I got an alibi, Wayne.
What?
I got an alibi.
Okay.
That means something else. The papers I handed out are the committee's report. It's open until the 16th with committee input, then we're going to turn around and open it up to the public on the mitigation plan. And I handed it to everyone in here because I really want you to look at it, because then come the 2016, when that plan goes into effect for 5 years, they're going to push the plan very hard. We're hearing anything you want from FEMA, they're going to look for the plan. So they're really pushing that. And then the last thing, we got our notice the last day of January. Stanwood emergency responders are no longer. They've shut down that system completely. So the ambulance, we shut down up there in Stanwood 2 years ago, and now first responders are no longer running. We kind of made arrangements for that and did some overlapping with the other ones, but that's the first one, and there's the signs of 2 more on the verge of doing that.
Thank you. Board members have any?
Oh, sorry.
Yes, Rob, go ahead.
I forgot to say, we're still taking applications till 4 o'clock tomorrow for our bridge crew positions. We have gotten some applications, I meant to say that. And then Dawn and I attended Transportation Day last week. I thought it was very good. Talked to a lot of legislators. We'll see if someone gets some action on it. But it was very intriguing.
Okay. Board members got any words of wisdom for the department heads? Guess there's nothing else. Thank you.
Oh, maybe.
That one with the 3 and a half. We did that too.
All right, well, I was wondering.
So Tim, who responds?
Huh?
Who will respond? Are they going to get split?
Well, since they became first responders, we moved Clarence to part of it, Mechanicsville to part of it.
So it's just Clarence and Mechanicsville is going to take it for now.
That's it. That's all the north now.
Does Olin have anything up there?
Olin?
Yeah.
Yeah, they hit 1 block, but they're volunteers.
Yeah, understand.
Is this for me too?
Yeah. Remember you said you couldn't attend the class, you were supposed to.
Oh, that's right.
We wouldn't want to leave you out.
I'll read it today.
Rob's coming back in, isn't he? No, 5 minutes.
Wonder what the other 2 are that are going down up there, Clarence and Mechanicsville. That won't help very long up there. Cedar is trying to keep the towns alive and dying as they.
Well, it's the training and regulation and so forth that the volunteers have to do. If they don't get anything for it.
And not only that, they don't work locally, so they're not available in the daytime to take calls.
Patty had sent an email right before mine. I just gave
How do you fire them
that
yesterday?
she rescheduling the
He works
so she
about,
could.
30 minutes away from where he lives.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take this.
Brad, do you want all of these lists? Or do you just want?
Not in February, nobody's in February, so that's fine.
Nobody's receiving
Now,
it.
nighttime.
They've got everybody there. They hit their own time.
That's right.
It's a struggle.
I'm gonna go get a couple for the daytime hours that they couldn't cover. Plus, they didn't have a responding doctor. I didn't realize that you have to have the doctor okay the meds that might be administered by a staff. So, that alone would shut it down.
I might be going to the spring training for ISAC. If I go on this board, the mental health board, if I go on the mental health board, I'll be going to the spring school at ISAC. I think the mental health board picks it up, but I'm not sure.
Accident scene or the house.
Yeah.
Next week we go out to Des Moines to the 12th.
Yeah, for county.
Tide them over for
County
the
Day out
lack
there,
of a
Brad
doctor
going?
on the scene.
Are you going to county day with us?
I don't know.
At the Capitol?
That's
I don't
next
know
week.
where to go.
Yeah.
mean,
Sorry.
They don't
He-
support
he-
you.
he-
People got on all the
Training
fun, man.
necessary.
They don't
or-
support you there anyway, you can tell
Yeah,
that.
there's a lot of burden.
Well, it was kind of funny because Rob hadn't been there,
Administering
and
whatever
he
the
was watching me
hospital-
zip around from representative to representative, because if I saw him come out, I like latched onto him. And then, you know, you're sending memos in and stuff.
People are not going to
Well,
put themselves
some
in
of them I
line
know
for
through the state
disaster,
patrol, so I would just put
personal
ISB
disaster.
320's wife instead of putting Cedar County supervisor. It just depended on which way I thought I had more leverage. It was funny because Clell, I sent it in first, Cedar County supervisor, no response.
Well, he's more
I thought,
aware now of
I said to Blaine,
repercussions.
because I couldn't ask
When
Julia if they
you're
were in there or not, so I asked Blaine, I said,
21,
go see if
you
Clell's
just
sitting
race
in there.
off to the
He looks
scene
in and he goes,
without
yeah, he's in
thinking.
there. I said,
You know, no
okay,
lawsuits,
scratch that,
no-
320, ISB 320, like, yeah, oh, he came right out.
Yeah, good job.
Like it's, oh, and which way you go. Oh,
11 pounds, over 11 pounds.
wow, how long?
24 inches, I think. Where's that at? Where?
Came out half grown.
Cedar Rapids?
No, Spokane.
I thought they just had one here a year ago.
They did.
What's the name?
Don't know yet.
Boy or girl?
Boy.
You're not even a little excited, are you?
I'd never be that excited about that.
Okay, Rob.
Oh, you're here. You're quiet.
Sneaky. A couple things for you. First thing I have is our BR, I guess it used to be BR, now it's SDP, but our bridge agreement with DOT, federal agreement, this is 80/20. It's for Charles Avenue over up by Lisbon. Estimated cost is $350,000. It's bridge number 105050. I anticipate we're in design right now, so just need approval. The bells and whistles that go with federal money are all listed.
So moved. Okay, the motion been made by Kaufman. Is there a second on the motion?
Second.
Second by Gal. Any discussion?
What's the road count on that, traffic count?
I have to look at the map. It's quite a bit, 50 or 60. I can go look and bring it right back to you.
So is that the light bridge? Is that what they call that?
Sorry, I don't know. I just know water was like 6 feet over top of it in the flood.
Rob, how many do we have on the agenda for this year?
Two construction jobs as far as contractor led. This one in 210th Street northeast town here, and then the goal of the bridge crew is to do 4. If you can get 5, that's a really good year. 3, last year we went 1, but we were flooding. So we hope, in theory, we like to get between 4 and 7 a year if we can.
And how many bridges do we have in the county?
262, and 30% of them are structurally deficient.
We kind of did that last night. That's
Sorry, I just looked it up.
That's okay.
Before we went to Des Moines.
I'm just making sure.
Sure.
Okay, any more discussion? Roll call. Kaufman.
Aye.
Gal.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Ruben, aye. Been passed. Signature.
So the rest of them,
Okay.
there, just 2. I got the map right by my desk, John, if you want me to run over.
No, that's all right. I think you probably got one too.
Second thing I have for you is on behalf of the railroad. This would be federal rail crossing monies. Usually we do a cost share on a lot of the crossings, but like just recently they put one into Charles Avenue. That's the one that we just completed the audit on. It is installed, and we did that 2.5% of the cost. Usually it's around 10. This particular case is getting to the point where this one is for Echo Avenue, and they're going to put the arms and LED lights on it they're actually paying the full 10%, so we're just simply, we agree to maintain the road coming up to it, and then we have to put some ahead signs and whatnot, but they're actually not even requesting us any participation in our 10% other than to agree to our typical maintenance agreement with it. So I would recommend approval for the Echo Avenue Union Pacific crossing agreement with DOT and Union Pacific.
So moved.
Okay, the motion's been made by Smith. Is there a second on the motion?
Second.
Second by Kaufman. Any discussion? That don't happen very often. You know.
No, usually we do our 10%, and it's something we've been very proactive at to get the funding, because even at that 10% is a really good deal to improve. Obviously, it's a very busy rail, so we've always been proactive at it, and maybe that's why they're picking a few of these themselves too.
Any more discussion? Roll call. Smith.
Aye.
Kaufman.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
And Gilbert, aye.
And they did pick up the cost of the Franklin Avenue installation this last summer out as well. These are more
Obviously,
together.
we're more receptive to Stone Drainage District.
Oh, yeah. Well, remember, actually, before we built that bridge, well, it ended up being a box culvert on Ocean, and I think that took me 2 years to get everything in place. And we were using our bridge monies, so we weren't even asking them for any money in return. We were just trying to ask for an agreement, and it took 2 years to get that. That was back when Don was here. But certain divisions have been a lot better to work with in the last 5 years. Matter of fact, I got a note on my desk to call one about a different crossing. Susan doesn't here. Thank you.
Okay, the other thing is we got an action on payroll change for John Winslow as recommended by Rob. And around, everybody checked it out. Somebody wants to move for it.
So moved.
Okay, motion been made by Gall. Is there a second on the motion?
Second.
Second by Kaufman. Any discussion? Roll call. Gall.
Aye.
Kaufman.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Gilbert, aye. Okay, Rob, anything else?
I do have one more. This is a utility permit with the city of Tipton. I briefly touched on this earlier. They want to put a light up at the fairgrounds intersection with the private road and our county road. The pole will be, they have 2 points marked. One is in the ditch bottom, but it's covered in snow. The other one is actually, I did see the other one is up on the back slope. I'm going to recommend it be up on the back slope towards the fence line. But it is technically in our right of way, so for the formality, I wanted to have a permit on file. I would recommend it be in the municipality that we waive the fee. What's that?
Which county road?
F28, and that'd be the gravel road in front of the fairgrounds at that intersection. I don't think there's a formal name for it. It's called Fairgrounds. It's
Fairground Road, as far as I know.
Yeah, it's not mine. I know that.
It's a private road.
Yeah.
Okay, somebody wants to move for it?
So moved.
Okay, the motion's been made by Gall. Is there a second on motion?
I'll second it.
Second by Smith. Any discussion? Roll call. Gall.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Kaufman.
Aye.
And Gilbert, aye.
I got to sign that too. I'll be able to back to the office.
Okay.
And I have another utility permit for you, but it hasn't been completely reviewed. The last weather storm, Alliance going to be upgrading the Cedar Bluff area out towards the Solon Road. And they had everything on the highway stake, but they didn't have anything in the Cedar Bluff stake. So as soon as they have that, I'll bring that for you to review as well. Thank you.
Anything else, Rob?
Nope, I kind of gave you the update of the snow, staying with it obviously, and we're going to continue to, it'll be it'll take a while to get them all winged back, but just, obviously the goal is to get everybody opened up. Overall, took obviously a lot of calls yesterday, but I'd say 90% were informative, just trying to figure out, or understanding, just trying to figure where we're at. If we thought they'd get there, if they did. A couple of them, I actually got their information, and as soon as we did see them go by, then let them know. So it was, I thought, considering what we were up against, went fairly well. Again, we're not out of the woods yet, but we're still progressing.
I had a couple of calls and same thing, very understanding and just wanting to know, and so.
You know, we got quite a few newer operators out there too. At least 3 that come on that are, I believe this was their first V-plow experience to come across, so. As soon as you put that on, that slows you down, obviously, quite a bit. Both from a large snow trying to get through, that's why you had to have them, plus just the pure bulk of it slows that operation down. But they were pretty efficient, I thought.
When they scour, they really go. When the V-plows get scoured.
Yeah.
Did you get both truck chassis in? I seen one was sitting down there.
Yep, one's in. Well, they're both back around the shed now. Yep, both those are in. Haven't been able to get to them, obviously, given the situation. We have 2 motor graders down currently, so we don't have any spares. We had everything we had out during this last, including people too, in that last deal. So, yeah, we had the boxes are ordered. The boxes are delayed 4 weeks. This is the latest I just received.
But time to work on them anyhow.
We have to, exactly. But knock on wood, it's been, considering could have been a lot worse with breakdowns. So keep progressing.
Okay.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, Rob. Okay, we got bid letting at 10 o'clock. So be back around before 10 and get that bid letting.
My guess.
Law says the state is to install it and pay for it. So there's some provisions in there that were a problem. Like if we had to relocate a utility, it was our cost. Well, no, it's not our cost. It's their cost because they're supposed to do it. So that I sent that back, John. So it's an unacceptable thing, and I expect something better to come back. And that's why I'm advising that you not award. Just open the bids and have your hearings and be ready.
Yep. When do you expect that back from the DOT?
And I was expecting the gentleman to be here this morning, and he's not. So I was going to ask him the same thing. But it should be able to be done in a couple weeks. And this work won't be done till April anyway. Start.
Okay, so we got some time.
So you have time. Yeah. And I guess it's kind of a lever you have with them. If you don't award, you just wait. Not that I think you need it, but just to be safe. I have distributed a bid summary, and this shows where you can just enter the contractor's name and the total bid. There's 2 addenda on here. This was this is just a standard form we use, but there are no addenda, so you can ignore columns 1 and 2. Also, we talked about 7% or 8% of the crossing bid is their reimbursement for engineering, and the cost of letting this will exceed the $4,000 number I gave you. It costs between $1,500 and $2,000 for me just to come here. So, in that regard, I'd suggest the higher percent. You negotiate. Yes, and you're going to see a number here. If they're low bids, 8% is more justifiable. Okay. Thank the bidders that submitted. We have 5 bids, and what I'll do is I'll open the bid security first, and then if that's okay, then I'll open the bid. I'll give you the totals.
First bid's from who?
First bid is from Ricklefs Excavating RICKLEFS. They're from Anamosa. Bid security is a bid bond. Total for Ricklefs is $238,160. $238,160. Second bid is that of Triple B Construction. They're from Wilton. By the way, Rickliff was Anamosa, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's Anamosa. The Triple B's security is a bid bond. Would you like to help me here, keep track of this? That's sure. 5 bids.
Okay. 2 of them listed. The second one here.
I'm opening the second one. Triple B Construction, signed. Total bid $244,173. $244,173. Okay, the third bid is from Chick-Free.
I think that's right. Okay.
TSCHIGGFRIE. I'm sure you all got that. TSCHIGGFRIE.
Got it.
From Dubuque. They did the first time too. Bid security is bid bond. Current total $235,505. $235,505. Next bid is out of Maxwell Construction. Maxwell Construction. From Tipton. No, they're not from Tipton, you are. They're from Iowa City, excuse me. Iowa City.
Okay, we'll do business in town.
Bid security is bid bond. The apparent total for Maxwell is $245,330. Okay, the fifth bid, last bid. We'll see. Okay, the final bid is from BWC Excavating. BWC Excavating from Solon. Bid security is a bid bond. Oh, that's right. They're the ones that put the whole contract in here. Okay, the parent total for BWC is $140,177.
What was that?
$140,177. BWC is the contractor for the district, and I know that they very much wanted to control these projects. So I expected a good bid, but perhaps not this good.
I guess I'm just, that's really surprising.
It is, yes. All the others so close. The cost of pushing the pipe or boring the pipe under the highway is something that only a few contractors do, and they all cost about the same. So I suspect that BWC has discounted they're subsidizing some of that cost in order to make sure they secure the bid. We still need to check it.
Yeah.
Did they make a bid on this project the first time?
They are the contract.
Yes. Yeah, so what was their bid on this?
Oh.
Work the first time. Just out of curiosity.
Section 3, $218,686.
What was your estimate on that?
$242,449. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Newman, I've advised them that the 2080 agreement is not in place, so that they not award, but receive the bids and have be prepared to award.
We are working on the agreement, and we will be sending the draft agreement for your review and approval in the next few weeks. I don't know exactly. It take 2 to 4 weeks, I think, on our end. I received the draft and I'm reviewing it. I will make some comments. I guess other people will make some comments as well. Then we send it to our department for approval, and then it will be sent to you for your review after we have looked at it basically and approved the draft of that agreement.
And I made some comments to them, and I explained that to them. I didn't even give it to Hudson. I just scanned it, sent it back to Newman saying that I saw some problem.
So we can expect the results within 4 weeks, you're saying?
I hope so, yeah. Less than that.
Thank you.
I've also advised them that this letting...
I mean, this letting is, the work's supposed to start by the spring,
yeah,
I think.
The first boring has to be done by April 15th.
Do we have any time frame for accepting or rejecting any of all bids here?
They can hold it for 60 days.
60 days.
I believe, but...
well, I'll try to expedite the agreement also on our end to send it for your approval as well. If that's holding this process here too.
Right, and I've also advised them that it costs more than $4,000, so we should do 8% on the engineering part of it, rather than 7. Since we have this number, I believe that would be acceptable. So,
well, it's my boss. I guess I'll have to talk to our department.
Right.
And, okay.
Is it reasonable and legal to ask about this bid some more? Okay.
I mean, it's
so
the
is this,
lowest responsible bid.
So was this $75,000 drop? Is this are they doing that? Or do you surmise they're doing this at a loss, or that's how much profit was built into it the first time?
Probably a loss.
Okay. That makes me feel a little better.
There's mobilization and there's other costs associated with the contract, and I think they are saving on some of that stuff because they are already there. And also there's a cost for coordination for the contractors, and they are avoiding that cost also by not coordinating with. They will have to coordinate with themselves basically, and they can go with the process. I mean, I'm not trying to justify you, but just my understanding of this process that usually the contractor likes to have a control of the schedule, and the schedule can cost sometimes significantly, especially if a contractor wants to play games with the other contractor. I mean, they can say, okay, well, we are not here today, we are going to be there next week, and there's always ways to schedule according to their own needs. I mean, versus other needs, and I think that this will avoid that kind of conflict of interest.
That's true.
Okay.
The contractor has also announced that our contract called for them to shape the bottom of the trench and compact the dirt up to the spring line of the pipe, and they had to demonstrate that they were getting adequate compaction. They have elected to instead embed the pipe in crushed rock rather than to pack the dirt. So, and that's an efficiency, a speed for them. So they must have a little cushion in the rest of their work. They're looking for speed and efficiency, which having control of this crossing would add to. Well, they are a responsible bidder. Whether this was a good responsible number.
It's just, when it's that big of a difference, you kind of, there's got to be a catch.
Yeah. If this was Joe's Gizmos bidding that, I'd be concerned.
There you go. So
I can see where they'd want to have the whole contract for the whole project instead of just part of it, and then somebody else can do it. So it works out a lot better for everybody, I think.
Yeah, I mean, coordination is a challenge, and no question about it. It will be a challenge. I mean, it's a challenge for us sometimes, trying to coordinate different contractors on the same road, and we try to do that. I guess try to schedule projects in a way that they don't conflict with each other as much as we can, and then otherwise we put on the contract that one of the contractors have to submit to the other contractor's schedule. I mean, there's a priority here, And this BWC, apparently they have the contract and they already won the other contract as well. I wish we didn't have to reject the first bid in the first time, but the way it was written and the way it came, it caused us to come back today. And I appreciate your cooperation with the IODOT to allow this process to move on a speedy way, because our process, to tell you the truth, is slower than your process. It's a matter of state regulations. We have to go through our bidding process, which can take up to 3 months to go through the whole process. And you guys here I mean, you can see the facts in front of you. You can make decisions on the spot, move forward. And we are working with you also on the agreement to expedite that as well, to make sure that we are on the same page as far as getting this work done. We want this work to be done at most efficient cost to the taxpayers as well. So that's our utmost, I guess, goal.
So
I'm sorry I came a little late.
Fine. Roads are bad. DOT probably hadn't had highways.
No, we have them good, actually. The roads are in good shape.
So,
the state road, that is.
if you will help
sure,
check
I'll
the
help
bids.
check the bids, yeah.
And then you're scheduled to have that same perfunctory hearing at 11 o'clock.
Right.
And we'll confirm the numbers at that time.
And then we'll defer awarding it until we hear word from you.
Until
you and the DOT get together.
Until that 2080 agreement comes and it's acceptable to you.
Don, do you take and send a letter to the other bidders thanking them for their bid?
We send them everyone who bids, we send them the bid summary, summary of all the bids.
We'll do the same here too.
Yes, and every opportunity I get, I appreciate. I tell them I appreciate it. I don't know if we have an appreciation letter with that particular thing. Well, we can. We will.
Okay.
Yeah, there've been 2 good bids.
Yes,
series here.
Yeah. I think it's BWC. I think left something on the table there, but that's their loss.
I don't think they'll mind that. Okay.
Okay, we got public hearing at 11 o'clock, so we do have some minutes from January 29th. Everybody checked them off. That was where Carrie and the deputy treasurer came in and talked about the warrants and that. Does anybody have any questions on the minutes?
Move to approve.
Okay, motion been made by Bell. Is there a second that motion?
I'll second it.
Second by Kaufman. Roll call. Bell.
Aye.
Kaufman.
Aye.
Gal.
Aye.
Beth.
Aye.
Dearly, aye. Anything else coming from the Standard Drainage District at this time?
Move that we
You want to adjourn from it, or you want to just leave it open until 11 o'clock? We could talk to Carrie if you want to go over some budget business.
We have plenty of time to do budget business, so I move we go out of standard drainage district.
Okay, the motion's been made by Bell. Is there a second that motion?
Second it.
Second by Smith. Roll call. Bell.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Kaufman.
Aye.
Gal.
Aye.
Okay, we're out of Standard Drainage District. Back into regular session. You want to call Carrie in, have her come in for the work on some of the budget?
I was surprised to see check fries bidding. They're usually quite a bit higher.
You must be hungry.
And they were second lowest, or would have been.
Would have been lowest. Must not be getting some of their ones they're working on.
Maybe since they're done with Highway 30.
We still got the grinder pump issues in Leisure Lake. They do.
And that's Chick Fry's
Isn't it Chick
business?
Fry that's always being talked about in your calls?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
When you see those powder blue trucks come down the road, you know those Chick Fry.
We got some time till 11 o'clock, Carrie, so they want to work on the budget.
Okay.
Try and finalize a few figures, so we need to finalize some of it.
Well, I gave you the final figures for rural services, correct? With the 13 cents, okay.
So rural services, that you have to set the levy at 332, is it? Or else go up to 330, right?
Yeah, $3.33.
And that would give us that carryover to 300,000, right?
Correct.
That should be the first item of business then, to set that.
Well,
Huh?
along with that though, you have salaries coming out of there. So, has the board discussed anything more with the salaries?
No, they wanted to wait for you to come in.
Well, start talking.
Well, one of the things I'm kind of curious about is when we did the comprehensive study, I was under the interpretation that a deputy is the second in command. So if the elected official is off, it would be that first person who would be in charge when that person is gone. Let's use the sheriff's department as an example. The chief deputy would obviously be the person that fits that spot. I don't know what that does to the numbers if we do those at 85% and we leave the other ones where they're supposed to be according to the study.
Mm-hmm. The one change we did already with the sheriff, remember the first time was with all the road deputies and then the chief deputy receiving a percentage. And then we changed it, I think it was like a $24,000. So it's not gonna impact your levies on which way you do it. It will just be money in the ending fund balance. So I think that's just a decision the board's gonna have to, make, which.
So what you're saying, Dawn, is that the chief deputy would be the only salary that would be tied to the elected official?
I'm saying it wouldn't just be that department, it would be, let's say Carrie's department, her number 2 person, whoever's right after her. It would be, the treasurer's office. Instead of having 4, it would be whoever's in charge if Gary's not there. It would be that way.
You're proposing that they be a percentage of the
elected official.
official's salary. And then the other deputies would be
wherever they fell in, yeah.
The only issue I have with doing something like that, or the main issue I have with doing something like that, is that we, as a board, took the stance that we were going to pull back and we were going to give the authority to the compensation committee and let them make those decisions. And we would now be stepping in and making that decision. And that's why I go back to the motion that I made. I think we need to go with what we have. I think we need to get the compensation study committee in after we're done with budgets. We talk about the issues that we had and we present them with the information, and then those that had issues with it are probably going to have that opportunity next year to go before them and then tweak this thing. And I think that keeps that structure in place. It keeps that outside of this board, and
cleaner.
I think if we start doing that, then we're perceived as the people that can change the study. And then who knows who else is going to come in and ask for that exception. And, well, you guys accepted this exception, and
right.
I think.
I guess I'm just a little concerned about some of the comparisons that were used.
And like we talked last week, I think that's one that needs to be brought up and redone.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess my opinion was that, the compensation board probably looked at it, but it was not enough information given to them on the deputy salaries. As far as the chief deputy goes, I have no problem with that, tying them to the elected officials and letting the other deputies range within the compensation study.
There's no doubt we knew there was gonna be some issues. And I'm thinking just to keep it clean, I thought about this all weekend, to keep it clean, maybe stick with the compensation study and let them come in next year and appeal it or fix it. There's gonna be issues either way. And it's not an easy decision for me to make. I kind of flip-flopped all over this thing, but my thinking is stick with the compensation study. There's gonna be some unhappy people. Hopefully we can fix it next year for them when they go back and appeal that. That's where I'm at today.
Jeff, you have anything?
I don't necessarily disagree with that. We're the ones that stand election, have the bottom line. So if there's any complications to be made, we are the appropriate body to do that. But I also understand the consistency of keeping with a baseline, so they have something to react. Now there was a couple. Carrie, how you say fix this? I've heard the compensation study fix this. We fix this. So who fixes this? And I guess that's really not even a question for you. It's a general question. What if we're still uncomfortable with some of the comparisons the compensation study is making next time? What if some of these problems that we bring up are not fixed because the compensation committee doesn't want to fix them? Then is it appropriate for us to step in? Because I don't think these 4 or 5 issues that we're bringing up are all going to be dealt with in a way that at least 2 or 3 people on the board would like for it to. I'm guessing, but I'd like to know how. If we're going to go that route that John and Brad are suggesting, I'd like to have a little more conversation on exactly how that process is going to go, and how we're going, and what the role is of the board with that compensation study to make sure all those things happen.
Because it wasn't the compensation study board that got the comps.
We didn't have to do that.
We didn't have anything
rated the job
to do with
descriptions. And the job descriptions, each department head can redo it, add something, but what they need to realize though too is when they hire, they don't revise that job description again. So if they say it's required they have a 2-year degree, the person has to have a 2-year degree. So if someone was trying to manipulate the system, it's going to backfire on them. Everyone just needs to be honest, do the job descriptions as it is fit.
Well, why can't we voice our opinion next year to the compensation board on our concerns? This and this and this, and let them decide.
A lot of them are already aware of the issues.
Mm-hmm. And we may not even agree as a board which ones need. That's it.
Well, before we can proceed on, we need a decision to be made. Can't do much more with the budget until we get this taken care of.
Is it what do the other 4 of you think about the appropriateness of some of these issues of the Board of Supervisors having the final word on some of these issues, where we would act? I guess what I'm suggesting is where we would actually go in and overrule what they have stated on some of these issues. Some of them are political questions as opposed to financial, like these independent boards and such. So it would be appropriate for a political body to do that versus an appointed. But I don't know. I'm asking the question honestly. I don't have a answer for. I'm still formulating my opinion.
Well, the buck stops here. It's our decision.
having been in the other situation, my problem is I don't trust the study because we weren't in on the comps. And that's where.
Nor should we have been.
Right.
Because that's how, me being a member, you take the person out of it. It's based on the position.
Mm-hmm.
We rank it accordingly. Then we gave it to Paul. He's the only one that knows where your limits are. And it's that way for a reason.
Well,
but
and
yeah.
I understand
so
that
again,
to a certain extent, but if you're using something that's not even in our area or not even.
And that's why the board
remote
does
around.
have final say so. You need to work with Paul Group on that and have him redo the comps.
So your opinion is that the board does interject itself and overrule the compensation study if we feel.
You hired him to do that.
I disagree. I just want to make sure that
yeah.
we're.
You
that
can
we
tell
actually
him.
have a plan of doing that.
Yeah, you can tell him or sit down and have a little workshop with him, have him explain where he took him, say, okay, why don't you go back out now and take this geographical area, and you guys all pick out, and ladies pick out what you want him to compare it
And
to.
do they have the same number of people in the office and those kind of things on top
And those
of
are going to be hard. You'll never find apples to apples.
No.
You can go just around the surrounding counties right now,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it's going to be difficult.
So if we would go with the compensation study this year and try to work with Paul a little bit more, clarify some of the issues, because there's, right off the top of my head, a couple, 2, 3, 4 issues right now, and deal with those, try to deal with those next year. At least we get it done. We all knew there was going to be issues with it.
Do we all agree what the issues are? I'd like.
Well, I definitely think the assistant or the county attorney, assistant county attorney, the board down there in Patty's, I think they have a good argument. I think at some point in time you're going to have to respect what they say, and then the deputies out there, those are mine. My things right off the top of my head.
Do we all agree those are issues?
I don't agree with Patty's issue down there. I think the board kind of pushing it a little bit too much.
Yeah, maybe so.
But yes, and I guess that I never thought of it the way Dawn's looking at it as the chief deputy being tied to the elected officials' wages, and the rest of them go on the comp study. I had no problem with that, but I'm still in favor of the deputies this year being on the wages of the elected official. And next year, then they go on the comp study, and if you want to go in with the chief deputies next year. But my feeling is that and I don't want to say that the comp study was not good, but I think it was confusing to a lot of people. I think, when you talk of a job description, I don't think a lot of them really realized what it was going to do.
After thinking about this weekend, I just think that if we go outside that comp study, I think we're going to have bigger issues than if we stay in it. And I feel for some of those people that like the deputies and the assistant county attorney. And I mean it. I struggled with this the whole weekend.
Wayne, you said if a majority of the board think that the veterans' recommendations are an issue, are you willing to look at it as a board?
Yeah, it's an issue, yeah. I think it's too high.
I think it's an issue of how they
How the
misrepresented
budget is.
themselves as saying that they were willing to go along with it, and then came back and said, well, yeah, we were willing to go along with having the study done, but not the following up and implementation. I think that's a problem. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't know as though it could have been some other outside entity that came in and complained. It could have been conservation. It could have been, one of the other boards.
It's $10,000. What makes it unique, though, I think. Don't you agree?
I mean, if Conservation Board came in with the same thing where they wanted to give Mike a raise if they had consistent increased funds and had to have it at a certain point, would we go ahead and allow that?
Didn't they do that a while back? Or am I mistaken on that?
Not since last year.
About 4 or 5 years ago. Because they did their own comp
Mhm.
study. Their board members did.
Okay.
He didn't. His own board members did and brought the facts to you. And as you can see, he was still under because I think all of them get an increase.
So what did the board do in that case?
Well, in that case, yeah, it was over. But you got a different, again, if you compare apples to apples, Patty's board is bringing her way much higher than what the comp study is saying.
Well, conservation doesn't have 10 grand coming from the state either, right? It'd just be nice to tell these, at least 2 out of these 3, that everybody agrees is an issue. It would be nice to say that we have a definite plan of addressing this, and be able to look them in the eye and say, and it's not just gonna kind of be out there, and maybe the compensation committee gets together in October and talks about it. It'd be nice for them to know that the supervisors are gonna be pushing the compensation committee to look at this, asking Paul Group to work with us on that issue, and I mean, I think it would make them, because let's face it, both of those issues are probably going to be dealt with within their budget, and they're probably going to find the savings, they're probably going to do what they want to do. I mean, that's going to be the end result of this. Jeff told us essentially that.
Mm-hmm.
So it would at least be nice if we could give some assurance, if we all can agree, if we can, I guess we can, that we can give them some assurance.
I guess my concern is we've got some department heads who have a very hefty budget and have more leeway than we have in other departments, and it's obvious there's more room to wiggle in some than there is in others.
Sure.
And, you know, that comes into truth in budgeting. Like I said, the system will be manipulated one way or another, most likely. As to Patty's budget situation, I think she's quite aware that we don't like how it looks. It's there again, it's going to be the same type of situation, but I also don't like letting funds go back if they've worked to get those funds. So I having sat on a board, and when they don't, and I can say this about the compensation study, I said, if you have your board members go to the work of being on these boards and donating their time to be on them, and then you ignore them, you're going to have a real hard time getting people to be on boards.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think you can carry that right back to the compensation board when they set the elected officials' salary.
I mean, as much as I don't like the flaws in it,
Never.
I'm with the
Always
fact
cutting.
that you guys are probably right, that technically we should follow through on that. But something needs to be done next go around on it.
Well, I agree with what you said. And so we can't go on until we decide if we're going to go completely with the compensation study. I'll make that motion that we go completely with the compensation study.
Okay, the motion's been made by Gal. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Bell. Any more discussion?
Are we, I'm not necessarily opposed, so we're going to vote on what to do and then talk to a board about what to do afterwards when we've already made up our mind? I don't know that that's the message we want to send. I mean, we got the Veterans Affairs Commission on at 11. And we're going to settle the question before we ask them to come in again.
And you know, that's a good point. I guess
mine's just more of a timing question.
Should we wait? I'll be willing to take my motion back.
I don't think we have to. I think you can make your decision here, and
what do you think?
I've been consistent all the way through. My motion the other day is exactly this, what we're talking about today, and I've been consistent all the way through, and I think we should make that decision.
Dawn, should we wait? Should we? I don't like putting people on the spot.
That's what we're paid
Well,
for.
I'm kind of with Jeff. If we've asked them to come in, I think we should respect that. I don't think it's going to take long to
And so then we can
make a
deal with
decision
that.
after that.
I think I'm not speaking for anybody but me, but I think I could, with the the assurance from everybody that we're gonna follow up on these, on the county attorney and deputies and make sure the compensation study moves. Just remember, it hasn't been the fastest, most reactive group. We know how many times we come in here and how many times we've called Paul. I can do that, but I think I can support Red's motion. No, I'm not. That's why I said,
I'm sitting here.
Paul.
Am I getting read yet?
No.
Nope.
No, but I'm sitting here wiggling because
I'm learning.
No, I said Paul. How many times we called Paul?
All right, as long as we, yeah.
No, how many times we called Paul? That's, but mine is more about time. I think I could probably support it, but I can't make a decision and bring these, we're already from their perception going to ignore what they've asked, and then we're going to, before they come in here, have a discussion with them and already have made up our minds.
Yeah. Well, show respect for them, I guess. Maybe I was a little quick with that, but.
This is the thing. Can they override our decision?
Not on bottom line.
No, they cannot.
But not on the bottom line.
No.
But
Bottom line, you have
if her
control.
budget has that money included in it, and we approve the budget.
We can take out the bottom line dollars.
That's what you have authority on.
So then if we do that, then she'll fall below the threshold, and then they won't get the $10,000.
Not if she doesn't do it. If she does it a certain way, she will, and that's what the threat is.
So she
I
could
think she's
utilize
using-
that
I think she's
extra
using that $10,000
$10,000
as
to
our hit.
leave the pay scale where it is on her salary, and then add more hours for the part-time person if that's truly the issue.
Truly the issue.
I think she's holding the $10,000 over her head. That's what I think.
Well, I don't think my decision's gonna change even after hearing them this year. So.
Okay, any more discussion?
I would support the motion if we heard from the vets that we invited first. If not, I'll vote no based on process. Just so you know where I'm coming from.
Okay, any more discussion? We have a motion on the floor to go along with the compensation plan for everybody. Motion was made by Gal, second by Bell. Any more discussion? Roll call vote. Gal.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Kaufman.
No.
Smith.
No.
Gearberg, no. Yes, Carrie.
Would you like to make a decision, RC&D? Something a little less different for you. To my notes, that's the only other thing than the salaries that you have left. Bev, is that correct? I have them circled.
I think we've done everything else, didn't we?
Yeah, and I moved them to the general fund
Let me
along with
look
your
at
Wilton, so.
And the
Wilton you said leave the same at $500, so RC&D. I believe you wanted to wait, right? I believe that no motion was made on RC&D.
No, because
you wanted
Jeff
to
wanted
wait.
to think about
is
it.
the five,
Okay.
yeah, but it was the 5,000's on the table, right?
Yes.
Yep.
What about, well, and also the comp board, I gotta make sure and get those, are you counting that in as salary? The comp board recommendation for elected officials?
That's what all of us budgeted, the
No,
5%.
we haven't made that decision.
We haven't voted.
No, but for budgeting, yeah, each elected official
Gotcha.
did that, and then
Just
you
from the
have a
supervisors.
split.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, you have a split of the sheriff,
Yeah, it was
auditor,
made- yeah,
and
that
recorder
motion
on the
was-
comp
the
study,
motion
county
was
attorney, and
ta-
treasurer on percentage.
You had a motion out there, but it was tabled, so
Okay.
you have the motion, where is it? Moved by Smith, seconded by Bell, to leave the funding the same to the Limestone Bluffs Resource Conservation Development Commission, which would set their fiscal year 15-16 funding at $5,000. And there was discussion, and then the motion was tabled until the board's next meeting.
Also, if it was tabled, then all we have to do is vote on it, so we can discuss and then vote on it.
Okay, is there any more discussion on that motion?
Well, I did actually, go out and talk and about this and think about it and visit it, because I'll be honest with you, I thought maybe it had run its course. A couple of things that I think is important. This is the first time John, your board is serious about trying to find ways to help the Hardacre Theater?
Yes, that's one of the goals for the connection with University of Iowa.
And that's, I mean, you guys have I'm not doubting your.
We stated it, and we talked to them about it too.
And I have possibly a new client to send up that direction.
Yeah, I mean, the Hardacre's been spinning its wheels and spinning its wheels, and a lot of people have tried, but, I mean, I think that's important to the whole county. And the Scott, reaching out to Scott, Muscatine, or Louisa, some of them is important.
It is, we don't want to jeopardize our own group in order to pull those in, but yes.
And then how did Clinton, do you know how Clinton turned out?
No, I don't know. I think that was that yesterday or today?
That was yesterday.
Yesterday, I didn't
Monday.
hear. Of course, they may not have made a decision either.
Yeah.
Presentation
And Dubuque was pretty much a no.
They haven't even let them in the door yet.
Okay, any more discussion?
What do we budget for ECIA?
$77,100, I think it is, something like that. But $925 of that is.
That's talking about Fedco, right?
No, I'm talking about ECIA.
Oh, ECIA?
And then Sedco, what's Sedco?
77,000 something.
Are you looking
So
up
Sedco is 77,000?
70. No.
Sedco's your 79,000 some.
There you go.
But what about ECIA that's combined with two others on your dues and membership. I don't have the sheet in front of me. But if you go into accounting, Bev, and do ECIA, and then you'll be able to find it, how much we pay them. Why do I think it's only a couple thousand?
It's split up. I mean, there's some comes out of, I think, bills for projects. And, I mean, there's dues, and then there's other stuff.
Okay.
I wasn't in there yet this morning.
And with ECIA, does any of our training, I mean, we get a discount on training for anything with belonging to that? I know cities, if you don't belong to ECIA, you don't get a discount.
I don't know.
ECIA, it looks like $2,066.54 twice a year.
Okay, so it is $4 grand.
That sounds right?
Yeah.
$4 grand. And that's just membership dues. That's not service fees or anything.
No, I think it's just dues.
No,
and
the
membership.
second payment in here doesn't say what it's for. See what the first.
Do you have a point you're trying to make? Because I'm missing it. I'd like to hear it.
I don't think you do.
Okay.
$60,000?
Hmm?
I think I know what your point is. I'll surmise in my mind that, okay.
Let's just put it this way. I'm very familiar with both of those organizations.
Years ago, it was classified as dues. Now we're putting it in as first payment, second payment.
Call for the question.
Okay, question. And that motion was made by Smith, second by Bell. Roll call vote. Smith.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Kaufman.
Aye.
Gall.
Nay.
And Dearborn, nay. It's been passed, so it's good for next year. And the reason I vote nay is because I think we've been sold on the river a couple times because we paid the dues if everybody else is paying. Nobody else has been paying. Some of the other ones haven't been paying.
No, you were sold down the river by Dubuque and Clinton County.
Well,
I guess my question is I would like to see some production from all of these economic development groups. And I guess we put the money into them, and I could say the same thing about other organizations. And I think it's time that they start really producing. Because one in particular, I think there's a lot of questions from municipalities on that too, And I think it's definitely a year we better see some things done.
Okay. The motion's been passed.
For RC&D,
For
5,000
RC&D.
general fund. Perfect. Okay.
So, thank you, Sherry.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we need to go back into Stanwood Drainage District for our public hearing then?
So moved.
Okay, the motion been made by Gall. Is there a second that motion?
Aye.
Second by Smith. Roll call. Gall.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Bell. Kaufman.
Aye.
And Dearborn Aye. We're back into Stanwood Drainage District. This is the time for our public hearing on the plan, specifications, form of contract, and estimated cost for the Section 3 Highway 38 road crossing. Turn it over to you, Don.
Thanks, Wayne. This is actually a new piece of the drainage law. Last year, they changed some of the bidding procedures, which threw us into Chapter 26, Public Bidding section, which requires this hearing. It really has little purpose, because you have had close hearings with your landowners before you make this decision. But all that you really need to do is approve what Wayne listed there. We checked the bids, and one contractor had a small calculation error. Chick-free, number 3 is $5 more, $235,510. The other 4 checked. BWC is the contractor for sections 1 and 2, is a reputable contractor, and is certainly qualified to accept the bid, or if you care to. But we again advise delaying awarding the bid until you have your 2080 agreement with the DOT.
So we need a motion though on the plans and specifications, though, right, to accept those?
Yes, you do, and I suppose you should also authorize return of the bid securities for all the bidders except BWC, or authorize release of the bid securities.
Should we have that all in the same motion?
I believe you could do that.
Okay. So it says here in the public hearing, there's action on the plan, specifications, form of contract, and estimated cost.
And what was the?
And then he's recommending that we return the bid bonds back to the unsuccessful bidders.
Yeah, just one clarification, I think not clarification, but just the point of information. The mobilization bid for BWC was $1 versus it was $25,000 or other amounts for other contractors. Just to let you know, there's because they are on the job, they don't need to mobilize. They just bid $1 for that item, and that participate part of the explanation.
Yeah, what I'm suggesting is that you not the motion say hold award to BWC, but return the bid, release the bid securities for the other contractors.
That's should be part of the motion. Withhold
Yes.
the award to BWC.
You want to read that back, Bev?
Yeah, withhold award to BWC and pending 2080 agreement from DOT, and then release the bid securities for the other 4 contractors.
So the motion would be to approve the plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimated costs.
Yes.
And withhold the award to BWC pending the 2080 agreement from the DOT, and to return the bid bonds to the unsuccessful bidders.
Yes, you wouldn't really have to return it. You just release the bid securities.
Release bid securities.
So then they can tell their bonding company that obligation is free here.
Release the bid securities for the unsuccessful bidders.
Yeah.
So moved.
Okay, the motion's been made by Bell. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Kaufman. Any more discussion? Roll call. Bell.
Aye.
Kaufman.
Aye.
Gall.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
And Dearborn aye. Been passed. Anything else to come before the public hearing?
Well, I'll report that the contractors began moving in, including bringing in some pipe on last Wednesday, and they were planning to start digging Monday, but your snow came. I did stop by there on the way down, and they have a couple of pieces of equipment sitting there and some pipe, but no activity. VWC told us that they have a lot of snow removal contracts that their crews work in the wintertime, and when there's heavy snow, then they'll be pulling off here to do that. So I didn't expect them there. We've had our pre-construction meeting with them and with Crawford Engineering, and up at Crawford's office in Independence, where we had it, and Crawford is now doing the staking and the observation. They're a small firm, but they have some really experienced people, and I've worked with them before, and it should be a good relationship there too.
Okay, anything else before the public hearing? There is nothing else. Close the public hearing. I've got 11:04. So I need a motion to adjourn from the Stanwood Drainage District then. Motion been made by Smith. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Kaufman. Roll call. Smith.
Aye.
Kaufman.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Gow.
Aye.
And Dearborn Guy. We're adjourned from Stanwood Drainage District back into regular session. Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
And we'll wait till we hear from you on that 2080 agreement then.
Yeah, so this next draft going to Hudson and going to you too.
Okay.
Shall I communicate to Don, or do you want me to communicate with the agreement?
It's probably better to go through Don, that way he can give it to Jim and give it to us then.
Okay.
Remember what he
said about that container.
Is that okay with the rest of the board, going through Don? Have him send it to Don, and then Don can forward it to us and forward it to Jim then.
Okay. Yes, ultimately what really matters is what Hudson advises you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the detailed things, it's better the engineers talk or over them.
Okay, real fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Or I'm gonna go get my mail.
They're gonna be coming in pretty soon, I think.
11:10.
Coming slowly, starting to melt.
A lot of snow.
She brought those two. I'm gonna run out and get the mail quick.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want me to go get the mail in this way?
Check it.
Okay, he's brought out anyway.
Okay.
What do you want?
Doesn't sound like it.
You got one too, Don?
I've got a mint, thanks.
Yeah?
I'm good,
Get
thanks.
these out of my
There's 40 calories in that.
I'll burn them off.
Even in the sugar-free ones. Is that a sugar-free one or a regular one?
Regular.
You're gonna die.
When you say that.
You gotta die sometime.
Cause those big lifesavers, the sugar-free ones have 40 calories in it.
Really?
Yeah, so.
Not just that one little deal?
Well, that has more than that, because he said they're not sugar-free.
Yeah, they've been here
just like
before.
that.
You probably will, Brad.
You should hear what my dentist says about those. They're the worst, they're worse than chocolate.
What?
Or gumdrops.
You mean lifesavers?
No, no,
Or
I'm
what?
talking about the mint ones.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the chalky ones.
What are you running?
I thought Dennis hated popcorn.
Like that.
I like it better than mushroom.
My dentist hates popcorn.
And almonds.
That's probably the only thing they like.
They're very good stuff.
Really? Really? Oh, yeah, they're all sorts of different down there. Well, I bet they do.
Okay, I guess we asked the board to come in to talk about the salary increase for your person. And it was handed to me that, did she get a raise, an interim raise too? She was at 33,982 and she's going to 35,772?
That has been discussed. I think that's not gonna probably happen. We have another February meeting, we have an alternative. Expenses come up, we use the allocation money for it.
So that's not going to happen, you say?
I don't think so.
Because that was like a $1,790 increase.
The commission made a motion.
Huh?
The commission made a motion at their January 21st meeting. After they made the motion, without, me having any input and me being able to step back and to look at some of the things, I have actually put it on my thing of discussion for February for them to rescind their motion. I did discuss it with the auditor, just as an auditor to say, are these numbers, is this correct, so that I could give them a fair view of what they were looking at doing. That's why you have not received any communication from the board, and the auditor has not received an official notification from the commission, because it was not solid and it was not a done deal. So I heard that it was mentioned in board to you guys, but it was not something that was ready for you guys to have, because it's not a specifically done deal.
Give that back then.
Can you explain, Patty, the formula or the detailed way as how you determine whether or not we qualify for the 10%, or excuse me, $10,000 from the state?
Would you rather I come up there?
That's fine.
The formula is the fact that you have to maintain your level of spending from one level to another, or from one year to another. This fiscal year we had, you funded us for $50,000, I think, ultimately. Let me look here. So I can give you exact figures. The exact budget and administrative monies for 2014-2015. Carrie did put in the $10,000, so it looks like it's now $60,292 with a budget amendment that hasn't been done yet. But with, without that, it was $50,292. But so you have to maintain that administrative budget level every year in order to comply. So that's what our fiscal year administrative budget year is $60,292 in order to comply with the $10,000 allocation. If you drop below that, so say you take money away, and it ends up coming out of the administration, then you drop below and you are no longer in compliance. And they consider that supplantation of money. So I heard you had mentioned the fact that we zeroed out some line items and it actually changed the administration, or that we were removing, but it doesn't, because my salary is part of administration expenses. So that's why that line item didn't drop. So we weren't going to be in non-compliance. We were still in compliance. I have since also spoke to the state, got the report from the state. There are currently right now 10 other counties across the state of Iowa that are funding director salary with allocation money. It's all approved. I called again to verify if we have ever been in non-compliance for using our monies for office expenses, where it comes with paper or a desk, which I bought in 2009, or for telephone or anything like that. I am in full compliance, not only by the State Department of Veterans Affairs, but by the state auditor, which all of this gets turned into every single year. And it also gets returned into you guys for observation of what I turn in every single year. So you guys get a breakdown of what we spend our money on.
So basically, if your budget were reflecting those items that were not included in the original draft that we got. And it just had your, whatever the compensation study committee's increase in salary was, that would actually be an increase in administrative expenses and qualify for.
Of 1864, if we would have left the line items exactly as and not move them around, yes.
It would qualify for that $10,000.
It would qualify,
okay.
Yes, sir.
And what you took out was the postage, mileage, you took out postage and employee mileage?
Right, and it, because
so
that is
you're
an
looking
approved.
roughly around $6,950 you took out.
And those are all approved uses by allocation money.
But if we leave them back in.
If you put them back in, then that means you have $10,000 to do with whatever you want to do with. I have also printed off reports to show you, because apparently that was question 2 as to what we spent money on, and apparently that it was just on office expenses, a desk, as it was referred to several times, and that it wasn't directly going to veterans. These are all reports that you guys have seen or have been turned in with the state allocation report. That's a breakdown. And it also shows what we spent the money on, that there was 3 years in a row that we spent money on extra hours, where I worked up to 40 hours. 1 year I worked 9 months, up to 40 hours. Didn't earn any extra vacation pay, didn't earn extra sick pay. And that we did that with allocation money as outreach. When I was attending Saturday and Sunday events for bringing back the troops that have been deployed. We've also used money on file folders, which are packets that I put together that go out to the nursing homes for outreach so that they hand any veteran families all this packet of what for their benefits so they can contact me what they need ahead of time. We purchased these folders, which you guys will be seeing, which is an appreciation that I'm in the process of working on that event. First 2 years in 08 or 07 and 08, we were able to provide direct services. We did a dental program 1 year, we did a vision program the next year. Then we started to develop the newsletter that went out to almost 1,400 veterans that I had on a mailing list. That I developed that mailing list from the assessors, information from those that claim the property tax exemption, and from the different service organizations. So I developed that. So we paid for printing and things like that. We've done outreach fairs for the honor flight. We've done outreach fairs, 2 of them here, separate years. We did the last one at the Kinnick Stadium. We plan on doing that again this year. Trying to figure out right now how the best way would be to distribute the appreciation folders or certificates, and that may end up being another outreach event yet this fiscal year, and it may end up being 8 Saturdays or whatever in order to meet in each community to give them their certificates so they can come in that way in their community instead of coming here, because we don't have a space big enough to house that many veterans at one time.
The compensation study would set your wages at $35,318.
You set me at the 2264 start point of the grade scale, pay grade 16.
At 30 hours a week.
30 hours a week for
52 weeks. Be $35,318.
It's actually 262 days is how we were instructed to figure that, according to Megan. 262 times 6, which would be the 30 hours. And then times 2264, which is 35,590.
Okay. And if you went along with the steps plan, the comp plan, and put back in the postage and the employee mileage, you'd be over that 60,000 that you were the previous year, right?
If I put all, no, I would be at 52,166. And that's the original budget I sent out to my commission members. It had the start stuff, and it had all of the different line items still included into it without a per diem person at $52,166. It was $1,864, I believe, increase from where I'm currently funded. That's FICA and IPERS and salary.
You'd be under the 60,000?
I would be under 60,000. Well, you're talking full bottom line or
Yeah.
administrative
'Cause
bottom
you were
line,
talking
Wayne?
of the administration, right?
Administration, my budget would only be $52,166
But still
with,
over what it was last year.
yes, by $1,864. So we would be in maintenance.
We'd be in
Yes.
that part. Okay.
Yes.
But if Carrie put in that 10,000 in your last year's numbers for
That are just,
expenses,
yeah, that are just showing
to make
up.
it that 62, or excuse me, 6292,
Yes.
then we need to have that 10,000 in the administration side.
Right, which was not in there originally when I proposed it to you because as previous years I've been told not to put it in there. So I've been waiting for the budget amendment for that number to appear. So sorry, it would be 62,166. I apologize, or that's including the 10,000, Wayne. I'm sorry that I wasn't.
I'm not hearing anything from the commission members back there.
So my question on this was, my reason was for moving her up, was what's the difference between starting her at 8-year or 0, the 2, and then somebody new coming in and starting 0 to 2. So no matter, she's starting at the bottom, right? That's where it was suggested from you, from the board?
As far as the step scale goes, yes.
Yeah. So she would be starting at the same thing as somebody new out of high school then, correct?
Well, they'd have to have the
They'd have the
education.
minimum requirements, so they'd
They'd
have
have to meet the requirements.
4 years of education or equivalent experience, so 4 years out.
And that's where my concern comes in at, is you, to retain the knowledge and the use of somebody you need, you don't start them at the bottom. And that's why I suggested we bump it up a little bit.
Well, the way I understand, the comp study took into consideration wages in this area and also wages of other VA people, and that's what they set the wages at. And we had to start somewhere. And so that's where everybody started at that.
And that's why I don't disagree with the comp study at all. I just disagree on starting everyone at the bottom, no matter how useful or useless they are.
Well, not everybody starts at the bottom. It depends on what their pay scale is right now. So those that landed, say, right in the middle, they got rounded to the next one. She happened to be under the entering wage number, so she's moving up to that, and anybody in that would just get started at that number. So if she would have been receiving pay grade at year 6 or year 8, she would have been rounded up to the next one, if that's where she would have been. But just because of where she was at, that's why it ended up that way.
She's still getting a raise, but there's a lot of people that didn't get any raise because they were at the
And that's what,
top of the scale.
Yeah, I mean, I've been listening online to what's been going on, kind of keep up. And Carrie put it the best when every situation is unique. And I heard it when you guys called Paul, and I mean, there's a lot of obstacles that they're running into, and we were obviously we weren't the only one, he said. And that's where I guess you just need to find an equal medium where starting her at the bottom is just ludicrous. I mean, unreal. I can't do it.
Any other board members back there? Anything to say?
Yeah. I guess my question for you, and when I get where you're coming from, and you work in secondary roads, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now you're union, but if you guys weren't union, how would you feel if you had somebody that was in the same boat? I mean, you're looking at an entire group where we've got to try and keep the playing field even. It's kind of an all or nothing kind of thing. And I'm not telling you, believe me, these guys all know how I'm not real happy with the study, and I was on it. So I guess you know, but I've got to look at how everybody else is kind of fitting into that picture too.
And that's where I decipher there. I mean, there's a big difference between your veterans and secondary road workers. You know, I mean, you got.
I'm glad you voiced that, and I didn't.
You got to classify it. One's a little more important than the other. Some deserve more than others, and I guess that's how I'm basing the study, and that's why I highly suggest.
And I hated to put you on the spot with that, but that's the situation we're dealing with.
And yeah.
Well, we're veterans looking out for our veteran community, and we want them to have within the county a resource to attach these federal monies that we've gained considerable in county income in the last several years. It takes education, several years of education, to get to that level to be able to be a accredited service officer on the federal level. And a new person starting with your minimum criteria is probably going to take, I would think, a minimum of 4 years to get accredited.
Well, the actual requirements are they have to be accredited within 1 year, but just because you become accredited doesn't mean you're knowledgeable in any way, shape, or form. You learn federal code, you learn, you know, who qualifies for what, but you're not taught how to interview, you're not taught to think out of the box, you're not taught how to do research, you're not taught about the differences between whether they qualify for compensation or they qualify for pension. Or Don, we've had a discussion of there's so many different particulars that come into a person that is in assisted living, what the requirements are of assisted living versus, you know, living in senior housing. There's different facets to every one of the federal plans, and I mean, they've got a new person in Muscatine. Am I done training or working with her? Do I get regular phone? Absolutely. You know, I said, well, you did talk about this, and this with that veteran. She's like, no, I didn't even know I should have brought that up. And I'm like, you need to call them back in. You need to start the process over because that may have cost that veteran a lot of money. There are things that, yes, a person can come in and they can get trained. I'm not going to lie. A person can come in and get trained, no different than I did. But now you've got me here. I'm trained. You've invested an awful lot of money in me. I've built up a lot of trust with a lot of veterans. And honestly, listening to last Thursday's conversation between the board members and the current auditor was very disconcerting to me as a person, as an individual who I've worked many nights. And to say I only work 35 hours, no, I only get paid 35 hours. There are multiple times that I work more than 35 hours and do not get any pay for that, period. So to say that I only work 35, that's not true. I mean, I take phone calls at night. There's a few veterans that they're having a really bad day. I've given them that link to me for them to call at night. You know, they are those borderline that even though you don't see it, I do. I know who they are. So it's very disheartening to listen to me and the judgment placed on me when I didn't do anything. I gave my commission exactly as you instructed, but it made it look like I was doing nothing but trying to line my own pockets by giving myself a raise. I did not do that. 4 of these, 5, and it was actually 5 did that, representing veterans. I didn't do that. And it made it sound like they didn't even have the thought process or were untrained. 3 of them attended the compensation study meeting that Paul Groove gave. They got educated. 3 of my commissioners did. Went and sat when Paul Groove gave his presentation. They've been given all the compensation stuff. I have not hid anything, the rules, nothing. They've all been given that information to educate them. I've not tried to impress anything. You've seen in the minutes that they've asked me for breakdowns of the impact.
I know you mentioned, Bruce, the other day that your group had agreed to go along with the compensation study but did not agree to go along with the implementation of it. You made the statement something to that effect, correct?
We agreed to have the study, and I don't know that we have a big problem with it other than the slotting.
Did your board discuss with Patty or did you appeal before the compensation study your results?
No, because I was not unhappy, neither was my commission with the pay grade. That wasn't the grade at which I was pointed at. There's no issues with that. It is right along with Scott County. It is right along with Johnson County as to where I've been graded and who I've been pointed with. I mean, I never have had an issue with what the compensation study findings were.
Well, the findings were, this compensation study came out with what the salary was going to be. And you folks were able to take that information and appeal it. Did you ever?
The compensation.
Why didn't you appeal it?
To my understanding, John, the compensation study group did not have the figures of the salaries assigned to it. That was something that the HR person pointed to it. So to me, that wasn't the compensation study. It was if you have a problem with how you were appointed or where you fell in the pay grades, as far as like my pay grade is 16, that was what you're supposed to go with if you had disagreements with the points, not with the salaries that were aligned to it. That was through HR and you as Board of Supervisors.
The whole thing was a package. It wasn't just the pay grade.
Well, then I would say that was not very well communicated to any of us.
Patty, we started this compensation study to try to make wages more fair and simple.
Correct.
And we knew there was going to be issues, and there are issues with it. And if it's implemented, hopefully we can fix some of the issues out there this next year with appeals or whatever it takes. And I respect the board, what you came up with. And there's some other issues, and hopefully we can all get together and make everybody happy. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's my opinion.
Yes, John.
Were you gentlemen on the board when we had our last secretary, Rob Young? Were you on the board?
Yep.
Well, you're aware then what took place back then, aren't you, John? It wasn't very much, was it? Now, you've got that smile on your face. I can see what you mean. You don't say nothing. Gentlemen, we used to go to board our monthly meetings back then. 15 minutes we were out of there because he didn't do nothing. The door was shut all the time. He didn't go to any meetings. If he did, he sat over there by himself. No, and then Patty come in, and I happened to be here in this room when they selected Patty. And we had, I think, what, five applications for her position? Remember, John?
I don't recall.
Well, there was something like that. And we selected, they asked me what I thought, and I told them, and the result was Patty got the position offered to her. And it turned out she wasn't a veteran. But I'm going to tell you a little experience I had. This is kind of off the record maybe, but there was a gentleman from Iowa, well, Victor. I think that is Iowa County. Mm-hmm. And they had some trouble on their board, and quite a lot of trouble. But anyway, I met him through working with the seniors in Kirkwood. Yes, Wayne, I qualify to be a senior too. I do that.
Like me.
And anyway, to make a long story short, this fellow came to me and said, "Where did you find this young secretary you got?" I said, "Well, she applied for the job and she got it." Well, they said, "You know, there's not many counties have people ask when they have a problem. They ask Patty what she thinks how it should be handled." Gentlemen, if we had to replace Patty, what would it cost us? It might pay to, I know it's going to be kind of a ripple here in your business to give her what she wants, but in the long run it might pay off big time.
Of course, we're looking at the whole county.
I realize that,
and
but I know
you realize what we're under.
Ripple, you do get things kind of, but in the long run it'll pay off.
And we can look at the whole county and everybody. You know, you're talking of the engineer. What are we going to do if the engineer, you know, if we lose him? It's going to cost us more. You know.
That's right.
But that's something you live with. But you don't start just
Well,
giving out big raises
Are
right
they
away either.
complaining? The engineer?
Huh?
Is the engineer complaining about his wages?
He hasn't had his evaluation yet.
I will note that this
Well,
isn't
Patty
the
hasn't
first.
complained about her wages though either, she says. She's satisfied with her wages.
More.
But there have been boards in past that they have come up with, and it's not just my board, it's Board of Health, Conservation, came up, you guys cut their bottom lines because their boards wanted to give them more, and you cut their bottom line, and they still found it within their budget. And that's just how it went. And I understand that, you know, what they're doing, but it's no different than the comp board recommending a 10% increase for elected officials. I don't see any of those elected officials refusing that 10% that they recommended, or 5% or whatever that they recommended. I did hear Warren say he'd rather it went to his people than him. I get that. We're all in the same boat. But the fact is, these members here behind are the ones that are forcing and changing things. It's not me. They speak with other counties. They go to board meetings. They go to training, which is something that a lot of them never did. And they are educated. They talk to other commissioners. I can't argue that. I will also address something, though, that you brought up, Wayne, about the code, about you not seeing the reports. Mm-hmm. I do give those to you every month. I just gave it to you. John had asked me where mine was. The reason you're not seeing names, Wayne, is because I haven't been giving county assistance out. The only time generally I give county assistance out is when I bury someone in this county, because I use other funds. So if you look, and I'm sure you've all seen... I know, and I'm referring to that right here. Okay. So this little letterhead that I give to you, and I date stamp, and you guys go through and you sign off on it, it includes minutes, which this was January's minutes, and I can't give that to you yet because you're not entitled to it yet. But along with it, looks like reports just like this. This is county assistance. There is none. I did not hand out any county money. This is in your reports every month you get. This was December and January. I gave no county assistance out. Then I have a report of some of the federal stuff I'm doing with more of a breakdown of whether I file claims and such. I give that to you. I've also given you last month a breakdown of this year's allocation money and how it's being spent at this current time, of what our budget is, or what our line item, bottom line is right now. I also give you news releases. I give that to anything that the board, that my commission gets, you get an exact copy of, except for my expenditure sheet. I don't take that, put that in, because you guys get that every month of the line by line by line by line in my budget. But I do give you copies of these reports every single month.
It says at each regular meeting, the commission shall submit to the Board of Supervisors a certified list of those persons to whom benefits have been authorized and the amount so awarded.
That is. But no.
But the persons...
It has an identifier at the top, because I can't give you their name because it's public. That would be a breach of confidentiality. It has who it's paid to, for what purpose, and the amount. When I give you county assistance, when I've got a burial, and I can go through here to find a past one that actually has a burial, so you would see there actually is an identifier on there. I do give that to you every single month for you guys to review. Every month it's on file. Bev, is it not on file when I give this to you? And they sign off on it every month. So I would have to go back through here and find a month when I buried someone to show you. I mean, here's August of 2014. There's still no assistance because I didn't bury someone. I'm using state funds. I'm using federal monies, getting them hooked up with their monies that they're assigned to. They do sign off on that.
Well, I guess I would have to apologize then, because I take it that, you know, I'm supposed to know who this person is, and I don't.
But I can't give that to you unless you go into closed session. So here's prime example. In March of 2014, you can see there's an identifier here, who it got paid to, and the amount.
I don't think the code's kept up with HIPAA requirements.
And actually the code did get changed in home base Iowa and it basically took out the whole fact that I cannot give you names. It says, neither a county board of supervisors nor a county commission of veterans affairs shall publish the names of the veterans or their families who receive benefits under the provisions of this chapter. It says all personally identifying information must be redacted. And that's what we've been complying all along because of HIPAA, because this has become public. Anybody in the public could ask for what I give you at any time. That would be a breach of confidentiality, which is also why the auditor's office doesn't get an electric bill with a person's name on it. They get an account number, because I can't give them that because they would scan it and it would become a forever record and available to the public, which is a breach of confidentiality.
I think you need to kick that little code section up to your cleanup bill.
It is. It's in home
is it
base
in
Iowa.
there?
It got
Okay,
paid. It got, but the the bill people that actually fill in the code and do all that have not added it into our code, but as part of the home base Iowa that got passed last May. But even before that, it was done with identifiers. I mean, these are years of minutes that this is just what I have, you know. How far back do I go right here? The rest I've stashed into my file folders. But this is from 2011. That's right here. These are all exact copies of what I hand you guys every month after we've had a meeting, after the minutes from the prior month have been approved. I share them with you every month. Exactly what the commission gets is what you get. Full, open disclosure.
Let me ask the board, or talk to the board a little bit. We just talked, before you came in, we were just talking about some problem areas in this compensation study that need attention. One is obviously this, and then the other two is, it's kind of aside from the point, is the assistant county attorney and the sheriff's deputies. And one of the things that we talked about is whether the board of supervisors should directly intervene in that compensation committee. We hesitated to do that while it was proceeding, so it wouldn't be a political document. But whether these three issues that have surfaced, I suppose there'll be more, but these three issues surfaced, that merits a political body getting involved in an appointed body, and trying to before we make decisions, trying to decide if we can all agree that we can do that. At least that's what we were talking. There was no agreement or anything. I'm trying to think about what's the fairest way to approach this in terms of a fairness for this compensation study, but at the same time dealing with these exceptions. And I believe this is one of those. I'm not speaking for the whole board. I'm speaking for myself. I believe this is one of those. To the board, is it a reasonable, and be blunt with me, is it reasonable from your perspectives to stay with the compensation study, because you are a duly appointed board? Yeah, we can cut the bottom line, but you're a duly appointed board, which makes you slightly different than these others. Do you find it reasonable if we would go with the compensation study with the idea that you are one of those three exceptions, that the board should intervene directly with the compensation study to try to fix before next year? Or is that, what's your reaction to that?
Well,
This is just me talking too.
Well, that's what, I mean, the more you get involved with it, the more you're going to understand from our point of view too. So if you're going on both sides of it, and you're going to help us out, we'll help you out. So, I think it's a great idea. And I know you guys are busy. I heard the other day when somebody's like, yeah, 1 day a week, and that's all they think, whatever. I mean, not everybody understands that, so I know it's going to take a lot out of your time, too, on what you got going on. But I think that's a great idea. Because, I mean, you got involved, you've been helping us out all along, and we've been telling you why we're at where we're at.
Brian, you'd mentioned some appeal process. Is that a different animal yet, or is there?
Well,
or more?
basically anybody that had an issue with where they were would have the opportunity to appeal, and that would be the appeal process.
But it really the
But
only.
that sounds like past tense, what you're talking about.
It will happen on a yearly basis regardless.
Okay, that's what you're talking about.
Right.
And really the only way that it would differentiate, if I'm correct, is job description, correct? Because it has to do with their job description and everything
that they do, the amount of hours they work, their working conditions,
Requirements.
education requirements. There were all different factors that came into play with that, and a big part of it is job description. How many people does she supervise? That was a big thing. Does she hire or fire? Does she, have direct supervision over how many employees? And it was based on how many employees. There were other things that came into play when you appeal that process, and a lot of them found that when they reworked it, a few of them had helped, but very few of them did it really change dramatically. A lot of it had more to do with the comparisons that were used. Where did we get the comparisons from? Who are the comparisons? And Carrie and I kind of agree and disagree on it because, in her opinion, the more the compensation study intervenes with that, the less it becomes a fair thing. An independent study. And yet, I would like to know to make sure that the actual right comparisons, either by geographic area or by the amount of services that those other particulars provide. And I know that's going to be a hard thing, but there again, I would hope that those could be used as part of the grievance situation.
The other thing, I think that, and Jeff's idea of, if everybody goes along with it on a compensation board this year, that we would try and intervene and try and do right maybe some of those things, but there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee it's going to happen. We can't guarantee that next year is going to raise everybody's wages up that much. The only thing we can guarantee next year is that there's going to be a cost of living increase. And then in the following years, there's going to be a step increase. And the step increase will increase with the cost of living increase. So even though we go back to them, there's no guarantee, I just want to bring that out to be fair to you.
That's fine, and that's no guarantee that we're gonna ask for that either.
That's right.
In the past, there's been, I can't remember for sure, but there's been, times where we've said a certain thing even before Patty, and, the Board of Supervisors at that time said no, and sometimes we went in the middle. Now, probably that's what led to the compensation study. Anyway, but
I want to make sure what I'm suggesting goes beyond an appeals process. Mine goes more to the fundamentals of what we've determined here, and I think we have, my opinion is that we have 3 situations right now that have emerged that might merit an intervention beyond the compensation study and the rules they've created because of unique situation. You've got an independent board here, you've got $10,000 grant from the state. That makes this slightly different. I don't know how that fits because in the part of the budget process, it hasn't all fit in my brain here yet. I do agree with Wayne, even if the Board of Supervisors intervene, there's still 5 votes here. There's no guarantees of what that would be, but I'm trying to think here how we can have our cake and eat it too and still honor an independent board and not once again saying no to an, because I think that I've been on boards before where you get done with it and you say, what the heck did I even meet for? I had an experience down in Mustin County where it's obvious the Board of Supervisors already made up their mind. I thought, well, there's 5 days of my life I'll never get back again. I want to make sure that we don't do that. I'm not suggesting anybody on here has that attitude. It's just how I felt when I was on that board. That's just my thoughts right now, and they're not very conclusive. I'm sorry, because I'm going back and forth. But
we'll nibble on that cake just a little bit. When we go to a meeting, when we have our meeting down in the basement, I don't say a whole lot, but I take it all in up here. And if she'd be throwing some money away in the wrong way, I'd be the first one to say it. But I haven't been able to find it in 2 years, or beyond, however long I've been on the commission. I swear by what she does. There's a lot of things that are involved with all this. I was commander of our Legion post at Bennett for over 15 years. and I used to take guys that were bad and take them over to Iowa City. And you haven't been in those shoes. You've got to control some of these guys, because if there's an Iraqi doctor in there and this guy was in Iraq, we had one hell of a time with one guy as far as that goes. But I used to make out papers for benefits before she ever came around, because I didn't trust the fellow that he used to have, sorry to say. He messed up a lot of people's paperwork. Since she has been here, I haven't seen any mix-ups. I just don't know what the heck. She's got everything in order. Yes, she's gone to schools and stuff, but it was beneficial for veterans, our veterans in our county. I don't say a whole lot, but it just kind of bothers me that I feel that she's been slapped, and I just don't agree with slapping a woman, period. But that's just my feelings. You guys have you got a big job to do. I understand that, and I respect every one of you. So that's my say. But I think she's done one hell of a job, and we'll go with what we were talking about before, but I wanted to nibble on that cake just a little bit.
One of the things that Patty had brought up to me is her per diem person. Now, I'm in 100% agreement with that. I think when she's not in the office, I think if you have that $10,000, you should be having somebody in the office so she can either do more outreach, go to the facilities, go to these guys who maybe can't get in, and have somebody else there answering the phone. That, I think, is a great idea and a great utilization of those funds. And, you know, maybe it's a case of her hours, you're at 35 right now?
Yeah. 30 for VA.
30 for VA. Could you bring those up to 35, and then the other 5 is relief, isn't it?
Relief.
Okay. Is there any reason why we can't do that? At least then you've got more hours. I mean, it's kind of how it looks to everyone else. It looks better. Do you see what I'm saying? Because then those services and those benefits go directly back to your vets because of the time that she can give them directly.
On a per hour basis, that may cost even more money.
That might cost more than
The step rate or whatever it is.
Okay.
Per hour.
Have you ran it both ways to
Are
see
you
how
looking,
that works?
what rate are you looking at? Are you looking at what they wanted to?
Based at the study where it's supposed to be.
At 2264, with the budget going exactly the way it was originally proposed, with all the line items being funded by county budget, to move it to a 35-hour week, it actually has an increase of $6,645 to the budget at 35 hours at 2264, which is the start step for my pay grade. It's actually $6,645 different, because you'd be putting me, instead of funding me for $35,590, you would be funding my salary itself at $41,522.
So for your 35 hours a week, you're saying that it would be
$6,645 in the administrative budget.
What I'm hearing, though, from most of the board members back there is that you're willing to go along with this compensation study this year and try and do something next year, and Patty isn't concerned about her wages anyhow, she said. She wasn't pushing for the raise. So, I mean, I guess to me, I'm hearing from the board back there that, yeah, you guys would go along with the comp study if we go ahead and try and talk to the comp study as far as the supervisors go.
Where are you going to start her at then?
At the 2264.
No.
That's a comp study. That's a
you gotta do something to retain the right people. You can't just be like, hey, you know what? Just come on, go ahead and start. Like, you just can't do that, Wayne.
Well, she's getting a raise anyhow. I mean, that raise it's over what she made last year, and there's some people that aren't getting any raise in this comp study. Their wages are frozen. So, you know, and all we're saying, and we can't guarantee it, all we're saying is that we go to the comp study and try and get these things corrected that Jeff was talking about for next year. but we need something this year. We're talking about the budgets coming up in 2015-16.
Why are their wages frozen? Is it because they're at the top of their pay scale on their pay grade?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's why they're frozen, not because of any other reason. They were fortunate enough that they have been getting paid what they should have been getting paid for their pay grade, whether their point system came out and where they got placed on the scale. Like their pay grade was a 10 and they were making the max at a 10, which is why their pay has been frozen. That they're not getting a cost of living or they're not getting a step because they were actually
Nobody's getting a cost of living.
Okay. But either way, that they're not getting anything because they were already at the max for what their pay grade. The only time once you reach that max would be if you ever get a cost of living. When you guys decide to do cost of living, that's the only time once you meet your max that you'll ever get a pay increase, correct? Is that the understanding of how that compensation study works? Once you reach that 10-year mark, after that point, the only raises you will ever get is those based on cost of living raises, unless your pay grade, because of job description or requirements, changes. That's the only time you would change, correct?
That's the way I understand it.
Okay. So the fact that I've been up here since 2006 with my commission, with them trying to change my pay, to up my pay, with comparables that we've brought from other counties. And the funny thing is, most of the counties that the comparables were done with from Mr. Groove, they are VA-only offices. They don't do multitask jobs. They focus on one job description, one job performance only. But yet mine is a multi-job, which is perfectly fine, but it does create issues of swinging back and forth and thinking different thoughts and trying to adhere and make different people happy. But since I've been underpaid, and it's not for lack of trying by the commission members, I've been in this position for 10 years, so we'll say 8 years of my 10 years, every year coming up, asking for whether it's 4% when you authorize 2%, or it's 4% when you authorize 3%, and not 6 or 7 like some other offices have done and been awarded. And so they were lucky enough to fall into that. And you've got people that are employed for less than 2 years here in their position, but will be, starting July 1st, make the 4th step or 4-year mark on there. We'll be making that pay with 2 years experience. And this is where my commission argued with me when I said be fiscally responsible when they were bringing it up, and I got it thrown in my face by my commissioners of, so it's fair for other people that don't even have that much experience to make more and get compensated more, but it's not fair to compensate you for your amount of experience because you were underpaid. Is that not what the commission said during one of our meetings?
I think what Greg was talking about in, I don't know if you call it a compromise or not, would be trying to find common ground between the 8-0, yeah.
I wanted to address a couple things. One, when you did your budget, I see you put in for part-time help.
With the per diem person with the 8-year step, yes, sir.
So
they were using that money that was taken out of some of those line items that the county was funding for those line items. It didn't just go to my salary, it also went to the per diem
I understand
person.
that. That's not my question.
Okay, I'm sorry.
My question has to do with when you did your job description, did your job description include supervision over employees?
Not over employees, but volunteers during fairs and everything else, so it had intermediate supervision, so it was pointed.
My point being, it has already changed. And so next year, if in fact you have a part-time employee, it's already changed. I'm guessing that you two that were on the committee would
that's
probably
one point. I mean, that's
recognize
factor,
that, and that would be a factor already. So I think that the appeal process next year would already change some things. And, you know, as we discuss, you know, what we brought up in the motion before to go back to the compensation committee and Paul and have them look at problem issues and allow for that appeal process for next year, I think that's going to take some of this into account already. Another comment that Mr. Hilliard said, that it was our employee that used to be down there. He actually was under your control.
I wasn't here.
Well, it was under John's, well, you folks as a Veterans Commission had some responsibility for that. So if you saw that he wasn't doing his job.
We didn't know any different, because we didn't, never, but now we can see the difference.
But apparently somebody knew that at that point. That's my point. I think, you know, you have a job to do down there that I don't want it thrown on us that it's our employee. He was actually working for you. So, I know.
Is that the case now then? If it's the case now, then we just authorize to give her more money. It's all settled then. She's working for us. Give her more money.
I struggled all weekend, I said this earlier, with this compensation study going back and forth, flip-flopping in my mind. And I came to the conclusion that I think there's going to be less issues if we stick with the compensation study, go through an appeal process with the 3 that we're talking about, and there may be more. I think there's going to be less issues than if we go outside the compensation study. And believe me, it wasn't a good weekend for me just because I was sorting everything out and trying to figure out what is going to be the easiest and simplest way. And that's what I came up with, is stick with the compensation study, deal with this stuff hopefully next year to get it, if you want to call it fixed or whatever. But that's what I came up with. I don't know how the other ones feel, but I had to go out and shovel snow all day Sunday because my wife said get out.
Join the crowd. My wife got tired of me seeing me open this book up and go through all these numbers. I think it's about wore out. I think of something, I'd go get the book and sit down. I just didn't take this thing home to lay on the counter. It's kind of a big problem, let's face it.
Well, and I think Jeff had a good idea. If everybody can kind of agree to that, you know, hopefully deal with it in an appeal process, or maybe it'll come out different. I don't know.
There is mention in my job description that I occasionally supervise, so I don't know if that will change or won't change, just to let you know, because it's still a per diem, it's still not a full-time supervision, it still would only be a per diem. I don't know if that would change. I'm not part of that. So I'm kind of looking at you, Donna.
I'm not sure what would fall on that. Do you know, Carrie, with that off the top of your head? I don't know either. I don't know that it would make a huge difference.
When you're asking for whether or not to move at the 30 to 35 hours, just because I assume this is something that I'm going to have to put on the commission's agenda, just so I can grab all my figures and know exactly what I need to present to them. If you're wanting them to move me to 35 hours for just a VA at the rate that they proposed, which would have been the $39,284, is that which is what the rate they were proposing?
We're talking about the original, what the compensation study said.
So that would be at the $22.64
right.
at 35 hours.
Okay. At 35 hours.
All right.
And I guess I'm looking at what the difference would be for that additional 5 hours, if that would bring your salary up to what they're looking at. To us, at least then you're working more hours. It provides more service directly to the vets. And the difference could possibly be made up in your per diem person if you don't eat up. I know there's other things you use that $10,000 for, but do you see where that's a little bit closer to the study? I mean, if you do that, as long as it's not over the top.
That you want me to figure it at the $22.64, 35 hours, which is what I did. Which, I mean,
was that the 6,000?
Yes, that's where it actually would put my VA salary at $41,500.
And what would be the difference at the 8%, or at the grade 8?
was 39,284 for 30 hours.
So the difference is?
I don't know. The difference would be. I don't have a calculator. I've got a calculator.
What do you want?
Yeah, just crunching them.
You want that?
Yeah. You want to know the difference over what they proposed, right?
Right.
Okay.
30 hours at
Is
the
a
grade 8.
It's 60. It is a 6644. That's over what they proposed, because I put all the money back in because there was mention of the fact of that I must not need that money. I do need that money. I can show in back years that we've even used allocation money to supplement the line items that we were taking out with allocation money to pay for telephone bills, so I wasn't extending on our expenses from county funds. I was using the allocation funds to pay for telephone bills or mileage or copy machine costs and things like that that was going over what we had county budgeted, so we used allocation money to backfill that. So it's a 6645. That at 35 hours at 2264 is a 6,645 increase over what the commission was actually proposing, because they were taking monies out, moving them not only to my salary but funding a per diem person, because the budget, that's without even putting a per diem person in there. That 6645 is without a per diem. I mean, if you want them to use allocation, that's up to the commission to decide to use allocation for that per diem. But what they had proposed to you in the first place included a per diem, and it also includes the 8-step. But we are taking monies out of line items that we can use allocation money that's approved, which I believe, I mean, you've all had copies. If you want an extra copy of that, I can make a copy of from the state how we're told we can spend the money. So that's where the huge increase is coming from, because I put all that money back in because it was brought up that, you know, maybe we didn't need that money. We do need that money. We were just using allocation for it instead, and we still need that money, the allocation. That's why I gave you a proposed expenses. You can see that we still intended on using that same dollar figure that we took out in allocation funds instead of using county dollars to fund that.
What would that make your gross wages at then, Patty, if you go to a 35-hour week at $22.64 an hour?
It would be 41,522.
And what would it be the other way?
The other way, if I was at 30 hours,
Mm-hmm.
at the 2264, 35,590.
Okay, and that 35,590 is where it's at based on 35 hours a week at the grade 8, correct?
Well, it's 30 hours a week. Right, 30 hours a week at the start step of 2264.
What is it at, I think you're asking, what is it
At
for a
the
30-hour week at the proposed?
39,284.
So it's about $2,000 difference, roughly.
To provide 5 more hours
Between
a week.
41.5 and 39.3.
3694 difference
Okay.
from the 8-year step, from where the start step is. And it's a $6,000 increase, or not 6,000, but it's like 3,000. Second, let me. Thank you, Brad, for your calendar, for your
I'd like it back
calculator.
too.
Well, I'm just saying that
It's
then it's a
2238.
direct benefit to the.
Plus FICA and IFRS.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't include that. I was just doing straight salary. Here you go, Brad. Thank you, sir.
What's the commission think of that?
So you start her where we said, but then you add 5 hours?
No.
You
You
start
start
where
where
the
they want
compensation
to.
study says, and then add 5 hours is what's being talked about.
Which?
That 2264 was the base.
You're talking about starting me at $22.64, and it's a $59 or $5,900 increase over the 30 hours, adding 5 extra hours. It costs $5,900, I think. It costs this to do 5 extra hours at $22.64. And 5 extra hours at $22.64 is an increase of $22.38 over what you guys had suggested.
But her FICA and IPERS and all that would go up even based on the grade 8, correct?
But that was already
figured in.
But I would also earn more vacation, more sick at 40 hours also.
Allocation money if we want to go ahead and do per diem, possibly.
What about Bruce? I just overheard his question.
What did you
Is there
say,
money
Bruce?
for per diem?
Well, we'd still have allocation money, we could do per diem.
Part-time per diem, is that what you're talking about, Bruce?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, either way, it's more palatable if that goes directly to taking care of vets. You see what I'm saying? Rather than increasing somebody's salary so dramatically, if you can increase the amount of hours that services can be provided or directly to those vets, that's a little different situation too. And that way we still kind of, she's getting more hours, her pay will go up, but we're still staying within the study too.
And more outreach to veterans because of the
Because
per
of
diem
the
and
more
Patty's
time.
not tied. And we still have everything we said about next year.
Yeah.
Trying to.
Well, I agree that per diem potentially could be a pretty big help. Okay.
The only conflict I see is, and this is not a bad conflict, it's a good conflict. The only conflict I see is, the one good thing about it is when I'm out of the office, nobody takes on additional claims or cases or anything like that. But if a person's going to be there and they're taking on extra work, and then I'm still out doing outreach, that adds the additional workload to me because that person's not going to be trained to do the federal stuff. And I can't justify, even to my commissioners, to train somebody to do federal claim paperwork working 5 hours every other week, or just to be there a certain amount of time. And then that creates the issue of the landlock. I can't have anybody in that office with me because that's a breach of confidentiality. So in order to really do what we could do magically with this, I mean, we could do huge things with this by employing a person, more so giving another option that they could take on. We could split up. Okay, they start learning how to do the nursing homes. A lot of offices do that. They hire a part-time person. That's all they do is that nursing home stuff. Was a huge, I don't want to say money grabber, but it is, because there's a lot of veterans out there that could qualify for that. But the problem is you still need to have somebody that's federally trained in the office to handle all the other stuff, and that's a service connection claims. It's it's kind of like no different than every other office has. Okay, you have a person that is, their expertise is in this area, they focus on that, they know that plan inside and out, and you have another person that has another part that's inside and out. Together they make a complete section instead of having to know it all and be that expert. I mean, that's just food for thought. The commission years ago had offered the $10,000 that we got to change the storeroom to get me closer to the discharges, because right now, proximity to the discharges or even to driver's license, if a person comes in to get their driver's license noted that they're a veteran and I don't have their discharges, they walk down to me, then we have to go up to the recorder's office, get their discharge, then they come back down to my office, I sign the form, then they go back to the driver's license. It is, it's that shuffling, or veterans come to the recorder's office to record their discharge. They hand them my card. You really need to go see her if you haven't met her. How many of them walk from the second floor corner down to the basement corner?
Just gives us another reason to put the auditor and the recorder together down here, doesn't it?
Well, I don't
But
think
hey.
abolishing an office is the answer to it. I think you would lack services and then you would have,
Well, that's beside the point here.
yeah,
now,
but,
Patty, I don't know your job, so this doesn't make any sense. Tell me. I mean, I don't know the intricacies of your job, but could the part-time person, could they do more outreach that wouldn't necessarily require all of the certifications, therefore leaving you?
no, because what are they gonna do? I mean, the outreach, even if it was just at a veterans fair, they're still gonna need to be able to answer questions. If a veteran asks them questions about a claim, do I have a claim to file? Do I have reason to file a claim? They would need to answer those questions, and they're not gonna be qualified to do that. So they can't go to a nursing home and know how to fill out the forms if they're not federally trained. They're not even supposed to be filling out those. So
in other words, the 5 hours a week of your thing going up would actually probably be more beneficial since you're already federally trained.
yeah, but it's gonna mean that I'm out of the office. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's not every week. We've only got so many assisted livings. You can't, I mean, to go there every month, you know, on a regular basis, I don't know the advantage of that. They don't have that much turnover to do that. So once you initially meet with a person, there's not always the necessity for you to continue to go back there every week. You know, I mean,
which is why we mean you might be better off being in the office
right.
in that situation most
right.
of the time.
Have I made adjustments like that? Yeah, I mean that's what I did when I bumped up those hours, and I made nighttime hours. You know, that's when I was doing those events on Saturdays and Sundays. You know, there's multiple times, you know, I work holidays and I don't get paid for holidays when I do a Memorial Day speech or I'm doing Veterans Day stuff. I don't get paid that. That's stuff that I do, part of my job. I get that, but you know, it's no different than any other office that instead of requiring them to bump up in hours to meet services, they are allowed to hire a part-time person or a full-time person to meet those instead of requiring them to bump up. I have no problems working the 40 hours, you know, but that's not how I was originally hired to work 40 hours. I was originally hired to work 35 hours, but I have in the past worked 40 hours, and I've done it willingly, even though it was under the presumption of some board members that was my commission, give me a raise. No, I worked in order to get that money. I didn't get a raise. I was working to get that. So, it's up to my commission what they want me to do. They oversee me. If they want me to work 35 hours instead of an additional 5, that is up to them. And there's 5 members, so they need to make that decision. They're my employer.
We're just trying to find a compromise.
You know, they're my employer. If I don't like it, then I leave. I mean, it's no different than anybody else. I'm an at-will, so if they want to do that and I decide that it doesn't work for me, then I find other employment. And it's not a threat. I'm just telling you, it's no different than, you know, if new job functions come and you don't like what they are, you can always go find another job and somebody else can take over and do. And that's
What's the commissioner's feeling on it? You guys want to meet and come back to us?
I'd appreciate it, yeah. If we could have a little more time of discussion.
I think we don't have to make a decision right away today anyhow, just do we? I thought Carrie said we had some extra time. Carrie,
She
we
gave
got
you that budget review
schedule.
schedule. What's it for?
the next scheduled meeting with them is on the 18th of February. Do you want me to call an emergency meeting with them
If you want to evaluate it before we make our budget decisions, you better have a special meeting.
When do you guys do that?
I think we've got.
We were going to do it this afternoon.
I thought we had a schedule here that we could.
You have a budget right there. Jeff got it on top there.
There you go. That's what you want to look at.
Okay, we got to have our public hearing proposed for February 26th. We got to have the budget to the paper by the 6th of February by that one, but we complete the budget the 19th of February, we can put the budget to the 20th. So if you guys wanna, I don't know how long it'd take you to make a decision, but even if you wanna meet, you know, right now, we'll go to dinner, and we'll come back after dinner.
But Virgil isn't here.
You got a quorum, you got four.
I
4 out of
understand
5.
that, but it was a 5-member unanimous decision in the first place. I think Virgil
Can you
should.
get a hold of him?
I guess he had a tax appointment. I haven't talked to him. I can try. I don't have a cell phone number. Not saying that we can't, you know, but I also, that would be a breach because I haven't posted an agenda. So I would need to post an agenda and give 24-hour
Just
notice.
Carry it in the office and get a little carry there. Let me
You
talk
need
to
it
her.
by, like, what the heck day is today?
I mean, today is the 3rd. I mean, could I potentially have a meeting on the 5th of February with the commissioners if they're all?
It'd be a week from today we could respond. Is that right?
Well, then we could be back on your agenda on the 10th. But that would give me the 24-hour notice to post.
Yeah, we better see it.
Hang on there.
Because I could post it right away here that we have a meeting. I don't know if anybody, you'd be able to do the 5th?
Yeah, Megan, is Carrie there?
Okay,
Okay.
So we could,
Carrie, if Patty meets with her board on the 5th, and we wait till next Tuesday to make a decision on it, is that soon
trying
enough?
to get out of your way.
February 10th, is that soon enough?
Yeah, that will be okay.
That'd be all right? So Patty can call a emergency meeting with her board for the, well, whenever, she's got 24 hours, and then come back to us so we can make a decision on the 10th of February then.
And John will be gone on the 10th.
You're gone on the 10th, John?
Yep,
Not the amount they
that's fine. We can make it.
What about the 5th? You were here the 5th?
They can't.
12.
Well, the 5th, I can make the notice.
I can't be here the 5th either. I won't be here the 5th, 9th, or the 12th. I made plans according to what this board made the decision is to going 1 day a week. And so, that's what I went with. I also told this board that when we did this budget process, we were cramming things together. We were gonna enter into issues that are just happening right now. And it was not a smart idea to do that.
Well,
We should have
we're
started
gonna
back
have our
on the
meetings on the
15th.
10th, we're gonna have them on Tuesday. And you knew that, John, at the first of the year, so if you schedule something for the 10th.
I
you know,
scheduled a vacation for the 10th.
Well, the ball's been basically kicked back to your court.
Okay, can I ask what exactly, so when I put it on the agenda, what are you asking the commission members so I can put it on the agenda? What action would you like them to take? So I'm in full understanding of what you're looking at.
I think what I'm
And I'm
looking
prepared
at
to
is
give them
if you come in at the compensation study pay scale and you work 35 hours a week, where does that put you budget wise?
Or if she wants to
Or if
go to
that's
30
what, or
hours
if
a
that's
week.
what you want to do.
Or if you go back to 30 hours a week at the comp study.
And then finding dollars for a part-time
Mhm.
person, discussion on the part-time person.
And maybe you'll decide that you don't need that with her increased 5 hours. I don't know. That's up for you guys to hash over and decide.
And you guys are willing to fund the 35-hour 2264, or is that something that you're looking at the commission to use allocation money for, or you're looking at county funding would be used?
They were going to use the allocation money to give you your raise, so we would be looking at the allocation money to go towards that extra 5 hours.
So what are the supervisors willing to pay towards her, and I'm sorry I come in late, what are you supervisors willing to pay towards her wages?
What we're looking at is where she came in on the pay scale study, just like everybody else. And they have $10,000 that they're allowed to use for administrative costs, which are her salary and other things. If they don't have her within a certain area, they lose that $10,000, plus they don't want to lose her. And so that's kind of where they're coming in at, and yet we're trying to make sure that everybody's on the same playing field as far as compensation study.
Okay, dollars and cents wise.
That's what we're discussing, is the fact that I think we figured out that it's going to be about $6,000 that would come out of the allocated monies difference than what
You're willing to pay?
what we already were willing to pay budget. It might even be a little more than that based on FICA and IPERS.
Yeah, we won't have the money to fund a per diem person if you want it all to come out of allocation money.
Then that might be, you know, if you're working an extra 5 hours a week, I don't know how many hours you were looking at doing a per diem person. If you were looking at,
I can show. That's what I'll
yeah.
have to bring
And
that all up.
That's
and that
something
is,
that you guys can decide. You might decide you would prefer to leave her at her other scale and bring a per diem person in for more hours. I don't know. That's something that you can play around with or at least discuss.
because if we do that, there won't be any funding left to do outreach fairs or anything like that, anything additional. But that's something you can discuss. You guys can decide.
How much would the supervisors be willing to come up on that?
$35,590.
$35,000.
Yes, sir. That's $22.64 an hour for a 30-hour week.
So if you want her to make more money, she has to work more hours.
Yep. Okay, anything else from the commissioners? We'll wait till we hear back from you then.
I'll post the meeting. It'll be out on the board. It is a public meeting. You guys are always invited.
Yeah, it'd be really nice if one of you guys.
When is that?
Well,
had
I'll
nothing going on to
post
stop
the
down.
meeting and it'll be on
Yeah.
Wednesday night or Thursday. It'll be Thursday.
This Thursday night.
Yeah, because I have to do my notice to give public notice, and it's at 4:30.
What time?
4:30. That's our normal scheduled time.
You gotta have a 24-hour notice,
I was
don't
down
you?
there one time,
So you
right
could even
now.
have it Wednesday night, couldn't you?
Potentially, I mean.
Yeah.
Marlin did.
I mean, you guys are you working Thursday? Do you? I mean.
Wednesday night, we have conference.
Huh?
Conference commit.
Wednesday night, we got conference board.
Oh,
Right.
you're talking about Thursday, okay, all right.
I'm talking about Thursday, if we
Yeah.
meet Thursday. But she could have her meeting Wednesday night.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
if
you.
you have your meeting on Wednesday
Oh, yeah, what about
night,
that?
we have a conference board at 6 o'clock. So if you have yours at 4, what do you normally do, 4:30? 4:30? We could do, I could be at yours and then go to the other one.
Yeah, what
You gonna
time's
be
the
here Thursday, John?
No.
What time
Here
is the
Thursday?
conference board
And you
meeting,
won't be here
Dawn?
next Tuesday?
Nope.
What time
The
is the
following
conference
Thursday?
board meeting
No.
that night?
Following Tuesday?
6.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, because all that's going to be on the agenda is this. We're not going to do, because we won't do the regular stuff until the 18th. So the only thing on this agenda will be what you guys are proposing. So I'll have to get all that pulled together and today and get that notice posted so it has 24-hour notice.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, just let me know if you want.
Yeah.
No more than 2 of us can be there, but.
No, that's perfectly fine. Whatever works.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we gotta wait till that comes back? There was a motion on the floor to go with the comp study made by Gall, second by Bell, that we postponed until after we met with the.
I believe that got defeated.
Yeah, you voted and it got voted down.
Voted down. So what's the board's wish?
Well, basically, what our discussion was and what Don's proposal was
The same.
the same thing.
Mhm.
So I would put back forth my motion, the original motion,
If you want us
from
to.
the other day, that the comp study is what we use, and issues that have come to light, we meet with the commission, or with the study committee, which includes Paul Roof, and bring those to light, and they can be handled through the normal process of that committee next year.
Okay, the
Or
motion
between now and then. It doesn't matter.
Motion's been made by Bell. Is there a second to that motion?
I will second that.
Okay, second by Gall. Any more discussion?
John, would you have a problem if we sent the board sent a letter to the Compensation Commission outlining the 3 areas where we saw there were some issues?
I wouldn't have any problem with that. We'll be bringing those to light with them when we meet with them anyway.
I think it just makes it more simple. I think that's what we're after. We go with the compensation study and deal with these things whenever. That's my opinion.
Okay, any more discussion? Take a vote. Roll call. Bell.
Aye.
Gall.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Kaufman.
Aye.
Dearborn, nay. And the reason I'm voting nay, because I think the deputy should be in it, so be taken out of it. So that's the reason I'm voting nay. So it's not on account of the scale or anything. I just think the deputy should be left in this year and compensated for it, and then next year we make it right. So, okay, the other thing, we got to set the salary of the elected officials, and we already froze the supervisors' wages, and the compensation board recommended 5% for all the other elected officials. What's the board's wish?
And the board came in at 5%?
5% for everybody. And we already froze the supervisors' wages, so.
Do we know we probably don't have a well, first of all, we don't know it for any of the union folks, but do we know the average percent increase, all the grand average? And I realize there's some way ahead and some way down.
Well, Lynn County went 2%, their supervisors make $100,000.
Yeah, well, Lynn County would be a quick way of how not to work things.
Patty has a question.
Yes,
I
Patty.
was just talking to Bruce and them guys, because I'm like, wait a minute, they were under the assumption it was Thursday night, and you guys want them to have the meeting Wednesday night. Bruce and Greg, neither one of them are available tomorrow night, and I don't know about Virgil.
Go
They
ahead
would
and have
not.
a Thursday night, just let us
Is it
know.
okay on Thursday night? Okay,
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure you guys understood. Thank you.
We might
Pretty well
want to let
made
her
a decision
know.
anyhow.
We might want to let her know that the decision's
Well-
been made, so it's up to them as far as that extra allotment. They can raise her hours, but the salary won't change.
Yeah,
No,
it won't go up.
But what we asked them to talk about was not going to change the salary anyway, right?
No, but what I'm saying is that will be up to them to
Oh, I
make
see
that
what you're saying.
decision.
Okay, the compensation board's recommendation was 5% for the auditor, recorder, treasurer, engineer, or the county attorney, and the sheriff.
And when we did the budget projections, we did them at 5?
Mhm.
Correct. Okay.
Wait for a motion.
The only thing I'm gonna say is that they worked awful hard this year, and that was the first time that I've been to some, and they had a good group of people. Am I making a motion on the 5%? No, I'm just making telling my opinion that they worked very hard to come up with that.
Well, my opinion is this is the first year that they've come in with a reasonable figure. Most of the time they
She
come in
might
at a higher rate.
Oh. I know, I'm like, got you covered.
No, you didn't.
Aim for Dawn. Don't cover those other guys.
Jeff, you're thinking?
Well, I just want to make sure that I'm consistent. I know there's a difference, but we just told one board no, so I don't know that but yet Brad's correct about, well, everybody recognizes that they went the extra mile this year.
John?
I'm just waiting to hear what everybody else says.
You're the last one.
I'm waiting for a motion.
Like we're all waiting for a motion.
Yeah, I'm waiting for a motion. Let's make a motion.
We're afraid somebody's gonna cut the limb off behind it.
I'm waiting for a motion so we can at least vote on it.
You can make a motion, Wayne.
No.
You what?
Wayne can't make a motion as chair?
I can second.
Oh, we can only second it. Well, all of our budget work has been done on the 5%, correct?
Correct.
And it does change the fact of where people fall in the pay scale study, correct?
What was that, Don?
It does not change where everybody falls in the pay scale study. So if they're unhappy with where they're at in the pay scale study, that has nothing to do with this 5%, correct?
Correct. And just like Kaufman says, yeah, it's similar, but not really. Okay, elected officials, you know well as I do, we're guaranteed a job for 4 years.
I know, I'm just.
I don't see very many, since I've been here 17 years, I've only seen this board, it was actually another board, actually get rid of one department head. So, don't try lumping us all together. I do not like that.
No, I'm not.
I know.
Let me clarify what I was saying. I was saying that we told one appointed board no, and then this is a recommendation from another appointed. That is all I'm saying.
Okay.
Not.
Thank you for clarification.
Yes, not saying going beyond that.
I'm still waiting for a motion. If we get that motion and vote on it, then we can adjourn. Because that's the last point of business we have to do today. And then Carrie can get the budget all fixed up for us.
I'll make a motion. Oh, not this weekend too. That we go 4%.
Okay, the motion's been made by Gal that we go 4%. Is there a second that motion? I'll second it so it comes to a vote. Any discussion?
What's the reason for 4%?
It's better than 3, better than 2, better than 1, better than none.
Worse than 5.
I don't know.
Okay,
What do
any
you
more
think?
discussion?
I just wondered what your reasoning was for it.
Something to vote on.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking of what figure is reasonable, less than 5, but.
I certainly think they deserve 5, but.
I do too. But I second it so it come to a vote, but I'm going to vote for it.
We'll see.
Any more discussion? Roll call. Gal.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Kaufman.
Let me think. There's no time clock, so. I think taking my time to deliberately vote is appropriate.
Yeah. It's about 35 minutes past my dinner hour, too.
Aye.
He votes aye. Smith?
Aye.
And Dearborn votes nay. So it's been passed, 4%. Is there anything else you need for the budget, Carrie?
Will the board be sending out an email to just elected officials, letting them know about they need to go off the comp study? That's what was decided today. And then the 4% for elected officials, redo your budgets?
Yep.
Okay, that would be great.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Okay, is there anything else coming before the meeting?
And then is Bev gonna send a letter to the Paul Groove about highlighting the 3 areas?
We don't have to worry about that
I
till
think
next
we
fall,
should have
really.
budgeted in
We've got a lot of time to do that.
I think we should have budgeted
This is set right
in
now until July 2016.
Forget mileage.
Yeah.
So, okay, is there anything else coming for the meeting? If there is nothing else, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion been made by Kaufman. Is there a second motion?
No, you
Thanks.
keep it.
I'll second.
You better
Smith,
keep it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.
So their meeting is Thursday night for, but we
Okay,
can't have
so
more
I don't
than-
have to worry about adjusting their salary either this current year, do I? Did they ever bring that up to the board again?
The next two